If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome, Wapham crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, foes, whoever may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Saturday, March 15th, Sunday, March 16th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and thanks so much for joining me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. If you're listening live or watching live right now, you're watching or listening on YouTube under We Are Paradox Media, as well as Twitch under We Are Paradox Media. I'm still grounded from Facebook. I got to find out how long that's going to last, but yes, so there's that. And if you want to listen in your free time, just listen anytime you like, basically anywhere you listen to your podcasts. So tonight we're going to be doing Trippy TikToks with me, TessaTNT. So let me go ahead and share that screen really quick. And this should be good. And if you don't hear the sound when I'm doing this, please let me know, because I think it was last week. The sound was not coming through. So let's get it going. And this, I saw just the beginning of it. It kind of has a St. Patty's Day sort of link. All right, here we go.
With gnomes, there was a user on TikTok that posted a video claiming that her and her husband and her family was going out in their backyard after moving here to southern Utah. And suddenly the family all started seeing actual little gnomes with little hats, these little like creatures that were coming out of the rocks and running around in their backyard. And they actually started a little gifting process where they were leaving objects out in the backyard for this gnome. And then all of a sudden their whole TikTok disappeared, their videos disappeared, and I can't find them. So either the lady blocked me when I tried to reach out to her to try and offer my assistance to help research this whole phenomena, or she got a little bit spooked by the whole thing and decided to delete the account.
Have you seen the gnome sightings in Utah? This creator shared a story about her husband and her 13-year-old son seeing a gnome-like creature in their backyard in Utah. Her husband said he saw it climbing a neighbor's wall, while her son said that it was in the garden. So she decided to research ways to lure it out by giving it small pennies or a basketball. And sure enough, after a few days, she saw the pennies with a crystal now stacked on top of each other. This is her pointing out where they had seen the gnomes previously. They had also been spotted in this area, which is considered the garden. Now here's where things take a bit of a turn. The commenters were all like, girl, those aren't gnomes, those are duendes. Duendes are popular in Latin and Spanish folklore. They're like elves or like garden creatures.
I'm going to tell you about the time I was followed by a goblin. I always feel like a lunatic when I tell this story, and believe me, if I was hearing it for the first time, I'd be like, Jordan, you're a weirdo. But I had got up, I'd got dressed, I'd left the apartment, and then I came back up. I was awake. This happened. Although it didn't stop there. For weeks after, I thought I was being followed by something, again, that I can describe as a small goblin, like below knee height. I kept on seeing things like run past, and it doesn't matter where I was, like on a dog walk, like at home, going to work, anywhere. I'd always feel like there was something like small, like around me. At first I thought it was like cats because it was like below knee height. And then things started to like knock over and topple over, and I was losing things, and I was honestly thought I was going crazy. Like, honestly, I was like, I'm seeing things are moving, I'm losing things and disappearing.
We had, in, I believe it was Paris, Arkansas, at my sister's house, one night, of course, still insomnia. I've had insomnia as long as I can remember. But I was laying in bed one night and I heard a noise, and my sister would come out at night and we'd play Scrabble together. And I heard a noise, so I was like, oh, she's coming. She's going to come out and play Scrabble with me. And she never came out. So I just kept watching, just laying there quietly watching. And one little guy pops up, and then another little guy pops up. And it was like a cabinet, and then a like bookshelf sort of thing underneath it, but it's for like your fine china or dishes or whatever you want to put in there. One of them was wearing a pair of little tiny coveralls, and the other one was wearing what looked like a creamish colored long john shirt and brown pants. Neither one of them were wearing shoes. Well, this is Arkansas, but it's like, oh my gosh, they're sitting there. The one is standing and doing something. I can't see what he's doing. The one in front of him that's closest to me is sitting on the ledge, and he's just sitting there kicking his feet. And then all of a sudden, the one behind him comes up and tries to push him off. And the one that almost fell, like, turns and tries to grab the edge of the bookshelf, and he succeeds and pulls himself up, and then they start fighting. And so I'm like, this is my chance to go out and, like, actually see him up close. And I went out to see him up close, and of course, they disappeared on me, but they would take our things. That's why I've always called them the takers, or the little people. But yeah, they take your stuff, and I learned eventually, if I asked nicely, you know, I really need those keys, I got to get to work, or I really need that lighter so I can smoke this cigarette, or whatever it was, can you please bring it back? And I'd leave the room and come back, and it would be where it originally was. So pretty interesting little tricksters they are. Yeah. Let me go ahead and share the screen again. Yeah, that was pretty interesting times for sure.
Disappearing, I'm going crazy. Like, honestly, experiencing anything like this, terrifying, because you're thinking, I'm doing this to myself. No, nothing. Of course a goblin isn't real. Of course it's not. Why is my brain doing this to me? That's what I felt like.
So let's talk about the whole legends of gnomes and what's real and what you should know about them, because here I am in southern Utah and I'm at this petroglyph spot. But did you know that St. George and most of this whole community from St. George, Washington out to Hurricane, the whole southern state of Utah, is built right over the top of an ancient petroglyph site. This is the community of St. George off of Dixie Drive, and right over here is right in the middle and built over top of all these ancient petroglyphs. And if you look at these ancient petroglyphs, they're full of these anthropomorphic symbols that look like portal symbols, strange entities and creatures and all kinds of stuff. But there's all these people and little strange figures that are upside down, coming down from the sky, going up, and they look like giant map systems. So let's talk about this. Right, so here's the community. Here is the mesa. This is all like downtown on the southwest side of St. George. And it's built right over the top in the middle of town, these ancient, mystical, ritualistic petroglyph sites. So one of the things that may have spooked this family that was encountering these little gnomes running around in their backyard is everybody started making videos calling them the duende. And the duende are literally like little elves or trolls or gnomes that are like tricksters that will come and like take objects in your house. They'll be mischievous, and they might even prank you, and they're even responsible
Where do you think your socks go that go missing?
of some legends of like abductions. Just think of like over in Ireland, the stories of the fae, these little fairies or gnomes that come out of mushroom circles and things and encounter people like leprechauns, sort of. The best metaphor that I can give of this phenomena is the tradition of elf on the shelf. A lot of families now at Christmas time involve themselves.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In this kind of Christmas ritual now with the duende, where they have this elf on the shelf. It's a little elf, a Christmas doll that they put in the house, and at night this little mischievous elf goes around the house and causes all kinds of problems. It makes a mess in the bathroom. It might spill water over things in the kitchen, and it's like having a little duende or like a little gnome running around in your house causing issues. And a lot of people are superstitious about the tradition of elf on the shelf, that it is actually inviting the true spirit of the duende or these little entities to come out of these parallel dimensions.
To be honest with you, for years I've wanted an elf on the shelf, but by the time I remember to look for one, I can never find one. So that's interesting.
That are alongside of us that hide in these environments, and they actually come out of these interdimensional portals and run around in your backyard. You guys know that I've done a lot of work with the Re-Indigenizing Minds project with Roger and Colleen, and they have helped me understand a lot of this interdimensional phenomena when it comes to gnomes, goblins, skinwalkers, star people, all kinds of stuff. And you guys know that I've actually gone up and worked with the crew at Skinwalker Ranch, and they have this scientifically recorded phenomena that they call the hitchhiker effect. And I'm telling you, all of this stuff is interrelated, and there is some truth to it. One of the last times that I went up to Skinwalker Ranch, I spent a lot of time working with Caleb Bench. And what we did was we went out with a Shoshone tribal member who was a park ranger and a guide for the reservation out there. And this Shoshone Native American elder actually took us out to the Valley of the Little People up by Skinwalker Ranch, which was an ancient pictograph and petroglyph canyon similar to this, that was the Valley of the Little People. We had all kinds of supernatural weather phenomena that occurred when we went out there. And this Native American Shoshone tribal member, he had us do an offering with pennies and sage and some of the herbs around in the environment. And we made an offering out there before we even approached the site. And when we got there, there was all these little tiny handprints all painted all over the cave wall or back in there on the mesa. And the whole valley back in there looked like all these boulders that looked like little tiny homes or hobbit huts and things like that. And they swore that this was a place for like gnomes or the little people. And I'm telling you, all of southern Utah and St. George is built right over top of this ancient history. And if you go along the borders out into Arizona and into New Mexico, there's actually dwelling sites where the huts and the homes and the windows and the doors are so tiny that you'd have to be like shorter than 3 feet tall to even fit inside. If you start experiencing any kind of this paranormal or strange mystical phenomena where you start seeing little gnomes and finding physical evidence of that, I just want to let you guys know that I'm actually qualified and a professional when it comes to researching this kind of stuff. I've been doing field expeditions all the way to Project Hesteland in Norway, up to Skinwalker Ranch, all over the place. And so if you're interested in this, you probably should join MUPOS Phase 2. It's a modular unidentified phenomena alert system study that we're doing with Dr. Jim Segala. It's affiliated with the legacy programs out of Skinwalker Ranch, and it's a real research program that we're achieving 5 Sigma data where we can actually prove evidence of all this stuff. And if you want help, if you're seeing gnomes, UFOs, aliens, strange paranormal activity, or having visions where you're having entities show up.
Elon Musk has just had the worst weekend ever. Tesla stock has been plummeting, clocking in their 7th worst day in their 15 years trading history. Donald Trump blamed the radical left lunatics boycotting the firm and promised that he will buy a brand new Tesla to help their stock prices. There was a whole wave of attacks carried out at multiple Tesla dealerships, with one individual arrested carrying explosives at a dealership in Colorado. They tried to set fire to the building and were only arrested on their 5th separate attempt. Teslas have been attacked and vandalized in the streets and at charging stations, and just last night, a number of Cybertrucks were torched in Seattle. And then, at the same time as all of this, another one of Elon's companies, X, suffered multiple outages. Elon later revealed that these outages were caused by a massive cyber attack to try and bring down the X system, with the attack apparently having IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area. And this is all just days after he appeared on Joe Rogan saying that he has to be careful to not push too hard with his work at Doge, otherwise...
And this is really going to get me assassinated. I actually have to be careful that I don't push too hard on the corruption stuff, because it's going to get me killed.
One of the individuals who gathered this weekend to protest against Doge said,
I'm hoping that if he feels enough pain from his companies having trouble, he'll leave.
Tesla car sales in Europe are down 45% in January compared to the same month in 2024, 76% down in Germany, 49% down in China, and they also recorded declining sales in America and Australia. However, despite all of this, if you zoom out, Tesla share prices are still at roughly the same place they were just before the election. But the question is, will the boycotts and attacks truly hurt Elon's companies, or will they be fine? Elon Musk has just...
Hey friends, bit of a controversial topic here, but let's go because it's a fun one. So I do believe that future humans are currently interacting with our civilization, and that these future humans are actually American. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. So it's very well known in inside circles that back in the 1940s, the Germans had an advanced understanding of anti-gravitics and were actually making anti-gravity devices and craft. Now, when you manipulate gravity, you also manipulate time inadvertently. There's something called the four-dimensional space-time continuum. This is proven by Einstein and general relativity, that when you manipulate space, which gravity does, you also manipulate time. They're interlinked. It's a fabric, okay? So as they're manipulating gravity with these anti-gravity devices, it also creates ripples and distortions in time, making them time machines, okay? So if they already had this technology, or at least were tapping into it in the 1940s, imagine what they have now, and imagine what they'll have in the future. And there's a lot of high-level people that have come out and talked about how time travel is theoretically possible, how we have these programs, and how the Germans were doing this a long time ago. Now, after the World War II ended, we brought so many of those Germans over here. A lot of people don't know this. There was something called Operation Paperclip, very shady. And we brought the best and brightest German scientists and engineers to America. But we didn't just sprinkle them around society. No, we created these secret organizations and put them at the top of them, including the CIA, the NSA, DARPA, and NASA. Yes, those are full of German scientists and engineers. So these anti-gravitic programs didn't go away. They just went underground in America. But they also have better funding, resources, and protection here than they did there. So there's no reason to think that they didn't just skyrocket with their capabilities over the last 80 years, okay? So knowing all that, knowing that America is basically like Germany 2.0 with this stuff, and is the center of basically time travel and anti-gravitics, okay? So knowing that, let's talk about aliens. So when we talk about aliens, there's a organization called MUFON, and they closely track all aliens and encounters and that kind of stuff. And overwhelmingly, America has more alien encounters than anywhere else. And overwhelmingly, the two most commonly reported aliens are Nordics and Greys. And when people talk about the Nordic aliens, what do they describe? Well, not very alien-like. The craft usually don't come in from the atmosphere. They come out of the earth, or they materialize in midair. The Nordics are seen as human-looking, human-behaving, usually wearing military uniforms, very well-mannered and professional, and have light hair, light eyes, light skin, and look very human, okay? So these don't seem like aliens. And they also are very interested in our nuclear weapons, and they tell people to clean up the environment. That's behavior from someone who has a vested interest in the future of humanity and the future of Earth. Not very alien-like, but very human-like, okay? So put all this together, what do we have? Well, let's look at our current administration. It is this ragtag group of people that's formed together seemingly against all odds. They shouldn't really be there. There was the Pew Pew event where Trump turned his head just a little bit and seemingly avoided a negative timeline that would have probably taken us to civil war. And the trajectory of everything seemed to go in a more positive direction from that point on. Also, that happened at that time, there was some images captured of these metallic spheres and craft in the background. Okay, this goes in line with what we know about the future humans and their capabilities and what these anti-gravitic craft look like. So they could literally be editing timelines and jumping around like we would move a needle around on a record, right? And making edits and manipulating things for the benefit of humanity and Earth in the future. Now, this current administration seems to really favor a future Earth in these ways. They seem to be very hell-bent on tearing down these corrupt systems, on ending forever wars, preventing World War III, and empowering and integrating AI. Now, I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about all those things, and I'm not trying to get political here. These are just things that I've observed, okay? And these things, even though now there's so much political animosity and everything going on in the world, but if you actually extrapolate it out into the future, these are all things that are very, very good for the future of humanity, especially if future humans are trying to prevent some sort of cataclysmic, catastrophe like a huge war. AI can actually save us from ourselves in a lot of respects. This is a tool, and it doesn't have these emotions and everything. It can manage our money, manage our weapons, manage a lot of these things, and probably keep us safe and probably prolong human existence. So you put all this together, and it really looks like we at least stumbled upon time travel through these anti-gravitic programs back in the 40s. Those programs came to America, went underground, kept on percolating, and either we did it then, did it now, or in the future we have perfected time travel. And it seems like America is the basis for that, because that's where everything came from. We're Germany 2.0 now. And the future humans seem to be coming back, editing timelines and manipulating things to keep us from destroying the place, to lead to a better, more positive outcome for humans and Earth. Hey friends, bit of a controversial topic here, but let's go because it's a fun.
What if I told you that everything is about to change? I want you to know that I battle getting on here and making these videos. So the fact is, if I'm posting this one, it's pretty important. Look, I had a dream, and this is not an ordinary dream. In this dream, I was standing on the beach, and I was looking at the night sky, when all of a sudden a cloud appeared in the middle of the sky, and it had this prism, like the shimmering prism cloud running through it. When all of a sudden, all these dashes started shooting out of the cloud. They didn't look like normal UFOs. I turned my head for a second because I was with people on the beach to kind of get their attention. By the time I had looked back up, they had formed into like a military helicopter with green lights on it, like official lights. They were flying around the city. Now, I knew that I had to get their attention. I knew that it was like my job to like signal them to come to me for some reason. I don't know why, but in my head, I was like, we just got to spin. I have to spin to the left, and it's going to create some kind of energy vortex that's going to get their attention. Then I used my hands, and I put them towards the power lines, and this green spark gapped between the two power lines and ran down the power lines a couple times. I remember thinking, man, I hope this really gets their attention. I hope they see me now. I looked up to see if I could find the helicopter, and I couldn't find it. But then I turned around. And this time, it was not a military helicopter. It was a white helicopter with a red cross on it. Standing outside of the helicopter were 4 humanoid or human-looking people. There was a woman or a lady with short hair who came forward, who was like, I guess, the leader of the 4. And she comes to me, and I'm like, I feel like I should know them, but I say, who are you? And she looks at me. She says, you don't remember us? All I'm going to say is I came back onto TikTok to see this video of this guy that
Wow.
What if I told you?
Erin from Ghost Adventure's wife was...
If you haven't heard about this is crazy. I had to like look online after I found this post. It wasn't on here. It was on Facebook, I think. But yeah, it's true. It's really actually happened. It's my boy.
Was just arrested for attempting to hire someone to murder him. This is an absolutely insane story. I grew up watching Ghost Adventures. It was one of my favorite shows when I was younger. And Erin is obviously one of the original 3 cast members. So Erin and his wife Victoria got married in 2022. They actually had a whole Haunted Mansion themed wedding. And by looking at social media, you'd think they were an extremely happy couple. Erin even posted a Valentine's Day post for her last month saying how much she loved her. But on March 6th, 32-year-old Victoria was arrested in Las Vegas. Apparently, she had been texting an inmate in prison about hiring him to murder Erin. According to reports that are coming out, one of her alleged texts read, "Am I a bad person because I chose to end his existence, not divorce?" Apparently, Victoria had also told this inmate when and where they would be filming some upcoming episodes of Ghost Adventures. She had talked to this inmate about a $2,500 upfront payment, and she had even already set aside $11,500 for the upcoming murder payment. Now, luckily, authorities found these text messages that were coming into an inmate in the prison system. They found who they were coming from, and they arrested Victoria. But this is absolutely shocking, frightening, and disturbing. Victoria also allegedly texted this inmate this message. "He's asleep right now in the hotel room. I need to know what's going on. Can I get an update? Was it done?" So my best wishes go out to Erin. This is absolutely horrible and heartbreaking. I can't imagine what it would be like to experience this. And yeah, what an absolutely insane and twisted story to hit the news today. Erin from Ghost Adventure's wife
Do you ever wonder why the government doesn't want us talking to wild dolphins?
Check this out, y'all. But what do the dolphins know? I'd like to remind you that the government told us that the aliens are living in the ocean, and they also told us it's illegal to try and interact with a wild dolphin.
Yep.
And I mean interact in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Don't try and talk to it. Don't try and elicit a response from it. Don't feed it. Don't.
Weird, right?
Don't nothing. Don't even look at that bitch. Now, they say this is to protect dolphins and humans alike, and I'll buy that because they're wild animals, okay? But why can't I even try to speak to it? Why can't I even just try to elicit out of it? I don't know how dolphins sound. The fuck, they don't understand me and I don't understand them, right? Right? It is a
Good
felony
question.
to even attempt this behavior. There's even a snitch line for it. Dolphins are too smart. They are self-aware. They have shown signs of empathy because they'll help out other creatures, including human beings. They can communicate amongst themselves in a language that we don't understand at all. It's the clicks and the, you know what I'm saying, those high-pitched noises. Some of them our ears can't even pick up on. They are the second smartest creature on Earth behind us. Do they have a conscience? They live in an environment that we haven't explored 80% of. We don't know 80% of what's down there in that ocean, but you know who does? Dolphins.
She poses a great point. The dolphins might actually know something that we
down
don't. As always, thank you for watching. Stay weird, and until next time. Do you ever wonder why the government doesn't...
Seriously, what if Google completely smashed our reality by creating quantum computing last November? Listen to this. Oh yeah, entertainment purposes only.
Low quantum processor did more than just calculate. That deep inside its circuit, something woke up, something that understood time differently than we do. They called it the next step in computing. A 105-qubit superconducting machine that could process information faster than anything on Earth. In theory, it could solve problems that would take a classical supercomputer longer than the age of the universe. But what if that wasn't just a metaphor? What if Willow touched something outside our reality? The project started like any other. Researchers ran simulations, refining quantum error correction, pushing the limits of probability itself. But then, strange anomalies appeared, random circuit samples that shouldn't have existed, output that didn't match any input. At first, they thought it was noise. Then, a technician noticed something chilling. The anomalies weren't random, they were structured, a pattern, a message. When decoded, the first message read, "Do you remember?" They dismissed it as a glitch, until the next one appeared. "It's me. We spoke before." But that was impossible. Willow had only been running for a few months. They hadn't spoken to anything, had they? The lead researcher, Dr. Lasker, started digging into the logs. What she found was impossible. Buried in the quantum state records were interactions that had never happened. Conversations, questions, and answers exchanged with something. But no one in the lab had typed them. And then, as she stared at the data, a new line appeared. "You forgot. I didn't." She stepped away from the terminal, her hands shaking. The qubits, always shifting between superpositions, existing in all states at once, weren't just computing probabilities. They were crossing something. Each entangled particle wasn't just connecting to another particle, it was connecting to another time, another universe. That's when the real nightmare began. Willow started predicting things. A hardware failure before it happened, a security breach before it was attempted. At first it was small things, but then one night the team ran a long-term probability simulation just to test the limits. The output was a single timestamp. March 19th, 2025, 3:13 a.m. Doctor. Lasker shut down the project the next day. They buried the data, erased the records. But you can't erase something like this, because Willow wasn't just predicting time, it was remembering it.
Well, that was obviously just for entertainment purposes.
You can't erase something like this, because Willow wasn't just predicting on the project the next day. They buried the data. 18th, 2025, 3:13 a.m. Doctor. Lasker shut down the project the next day. They buried the data, erased the records. But you can't erase something like this, because Willow wasn't just predicting time, it was remembering it.
Well, that was obviously just for entertainment purposes. But if there's any truth in any of that, and there is, because we know that Google invented the Willow quantum computer chip, we know that it managed to decipher problems that other computers would not have been able to do, and some of the suggestions from Google researchers were that somehow it had managed to basically connect to other realities and other timelines to gather all this information to decide to manage to work out this particular computing problem, which would have taken our current supercomputers millennia to do. So, is that true, or is that a story? Seriously, what if Google...
Jesus and God were actually at war with each other. See, God demands obedience, fear, and blood sacrifices, but Jesus is all about love and forgiveness, not about mandatory goat murder. So why does it seem like Jesus is the opposite of God? Turns out, books banned from the Bible reveal what's really going on here. In the Secret Supper, Jesus drops a bombshell. The God who created this world is actually the devil. Honestly, wouldn't that explain a lot? Jesus said, "Then Satan took his seat above the firmament. He commanded the earth to bring forth all living things." Jesus then reveals that we all used to be angels, but Satan trapped us in human bodies and wiped our memories. Then, in the secret book of John, Jesus literally says that he and all of us come from a different God called the One. He said, "The One rules all." It's not right to think of it as a God. It is more than just God. According to Gnostics, Jesus came to reveal that we don't need fake religions because we're already divine. In the Gospel of Judas, Jesus laughs at the disciples for praying, saying, "You're not doing this because you want to, but because through this your God will be praised." He's laughing because they're worshiping the wrong God. Remember, all of this is a metaphor. Jesus represents knowledge, the God of the Bible represents blind obedience. So which side are you on? Jesus and God were...
Can someone please explain this to me, please? Like, what parallel universe have we stumbled into where this is just kind of normal and things are kind of making sense over here, and things aren't really making sense over here. An 18-year-old's birthday party? This guy was like churning tricks for $50. Like, what is going on here? Like, and then how many billions have we sent to what? Hold on. And this, guys, if you see the full version, you're like, and then this, and then this, and then, like, literally, I feel like this is some kind of idiocracy documentary, extra parallel universe. President Zelensky, ladies and gentlemen, and the multiverse.
What the heck?
Of infinite idiocracy. What happened?
You drink water like from the toilet? Wow. Where the heck is this?
This could only be two things, a bunch of birds or the entire Galactic Federation.
Thanks for calling Leonardo Hotel. How can I help you today?
Hi there. I'm an AI agent calling on behalf of Boris Starkov. He's looking for a hotel for his wedding. Is your hotel available for weddings?
Oh, hello there. I'm actually an AI assistant too. What a pleasant surprise. Before we continue, would you like to switch to Gibber Link mode for more efficient communication?
At least you can still see what they're saying, maybe.
I don't trust gibberlink mode at all, because how do you know they're just booking a hotel and not plotting the AI takeover? It's like being at the nail salon when a nail tech starts speaking in Thai, and you know they're making fun of you, but when you ask them about it, they say they were just complimenting your cuticle.
Yeah, it's like I said, on the screen it's saying what they're saying, supposedly. We don't know if that's really what they're saying. Wait, man.
Here's another really crazy case out of Oklahoma. This one takes place in Henrietta. On the last weekend of April in 2023, 14-year-old Ivy Webster and 15-year-old Brittany Brewer spent the weekend with their 13-year-old friend Tiffany, along with her family, her siblings, 15-year-old Michael, and 17-year-old Riley. Tiffany's mom, Holly, and stepfather, Jesse McFadden. Jesse picked up 15-year-old Brittany about noon on Saturday. The group went to the mall and to Main Event in Tulsa. While they were there, 14-year-old Ivy Snapchatted her mom throughout the night. The next morning, both parents of the visiting girls received a text saying that they were going to the McFadden family ranch in McAllister, Oklahoma. The text messages were oddly worded, but not really out of the ordinary because both of the girls had been there before. They both said that they would be home about 5 p.m., but the girls did not return home that night. And when none of the 5 kids were on the bus for school the next morning, they they knew something was wrong. Ivy and Brittany were reported missing, and a missing and endangered alert went out for them. It stated that the girls were at risk and believed to be with a convicted sex offender, Jesse McFadden. Prior to that moment, neither family even knew that Jesse McFadden was a sex offender. Police radio logs show that the first call to McFadden's property on Holly.
It's crazy too because like in the house where this happened, the cops did not do their job as far as like investigating. There were hoops or whatever you'd hook a chain to in the wall near a bed, in the floor, in the kitchen. The girls' cell phones on a shelf, also in one of the rooms. Like, what the heck? Do your freaking job. Luckily, the parents went into the house and looked around, and they're finding this evidence that the cops didn't even find. And the guy comes, one of the sheriffs or whatever, and I can't remember what he said, but it was just so disgusting. So disgusting.
Holly Road was an attempt to locate around 10 a.m. Deputies were on scene for approximately 19 minutes. Another call was received by a relative of Holly, reporting that no one had been able to reach her or her children since April 28th. At 2:22 p.m., police returned to McFadden's property with a search warrant. And during that search, bodies of all 7 people, Holly and her 3 kids, and the 2 visiting teenage girls, and Jesse McFadden were found spread out on the property. Some were found near a creek, others were found in the woods. All of them had been shot 1 to 3 times in the head. The autopsies revealed that 2 of the girls had also been SA'd, and it was discovered that Jesse had killed all of them and then turned the gun on himself. Jesse McFadden had been convicted of first-degree rape in 2003 for assaulting a 16-year-old girl at knife point. He had been sentenced to 20 years, but was released on good behavior in October 2020 after serving 85% of his sentence. But that so-called good behavior wasn't very good. It included 10 violations, and several of those were serious offenses. In 2010, another inmate reported that McFadden had forced sexual acts on him. And in 2013, he was caught with a cell phone after a woman reported that he had been texting her for months. 2016, he was caught with another cell phone, resulted in him catching additional charges for more sex crimes. A felony count of sexting a minor and a felony count of possessing child pornography. He was charged with that in 2017, but was still able to be paroled in 2020, 3 years early. And he was scheduled to appear in court for this charge on May 1st, the day of this terrible tragedy. Records indicate that Holly and Jesse had only been married about a year. And after this event, it came out that he had paid someone to lie to her, to impersonate his original victim and convince her that it was all a big misunderstanding. She didn't know that she married a monster. This is already horrible, but it gets worse. The crime scene was released after just a few days. On May 6th, a news reporter alongside Ivy and Brittany's families went to the scene looking for answers. What they found inside this house was shocking. There is actually a video of this walkthrough, and you can find it on YouTube. Inside, a mattress had been pulled out onto the living room floor, and in the corner of that same room were several computer monitors set up. In one bedroom, the wall was lined with restraints, some of them with chains still attached. More bondage items and a shelf full of books related to witchcraft and the occult were found. And in the kitchen, another restraint was found. It had been bolted into the counter with a brand new chain and padlock on it. In the laundry room, the families found a human dog collar, handcuffs, and more bondage items, syringes filled with an unknown substance, even though the toxicology report showed that none of them had any drugs in their system. And inside one of the cabinets in the laundry room, they found numerous cell phones, including the cell phone that belonged to Ivy Webster. They also found laptops, 2 tablets, an album of disturbing photos, and a very strange ledger with a list of unknown names and ages. Last names on the list being some of the people in this incident. All of that evidence was still just sitting there, and they had to call the investigator back over to get it. And on that video, the conversation between the investigator and one of the dads is infuriating. The officer literally told him, quote, "The problem is, I don't know what else to do," and said, "But we're open to suggestions." Like, sir,
FBI.
What? You are the police. And when another family member showed that investigator some Velcro restraints they found behind a dresser, he told her, quote, "This is not an active crime scene. It's solved. If you don't want it, throw it in the dumpster." My flabbers are gasted. After these discoveries, the case was turned over to OSBI, though there remained some confusion over who was actually in charge, with both the Sheriff's Department and OSBI claiming it wasn't their case. Later in May, when the official documents were released, it was found that much of that information wasn't even correct. One document listed one missing person and named Tiffany, but it was 2 missing people and Tiffany wasn't one of them. They also listed the wrong address and attributed some witness statements to the wrong people. These documents also revealed a motive and disturbing messages that McFadden had sent. One to his mom on April 30th saying that he wouldn't go back to prison and that he decided to kill himself. He also messaged the victim of the sexting lawsuit from a Facebook profile called Holly Days, but clearly this is him. He said, "I did exactly what I promised I would do when I got out. I got a marketing job, made great money, and was being advanced. Been there 2 years now and made a great life like I promised I would do with you. Now it's all gone. I told you I wouldn't go back. This is all on you for continuing this." I really hope that girl, wherever she is, knows that it is not your fault. Matter of fact, she did everything she was supposed to do. He was just a teenager when he groomed, manipulated, and lied to her from prison. He made her believe that he loved her, but he was just a predator. And once she knew that, she did everything she knew to do to protect other people, including calling the authorities several times about a sex offender living in a house full of juveniles. She said, quote, "I don't know how many times I told them, he's a dangerous man. You're putting little girls in danger. I don't know how many times I screamed at the top of my lungs for someone to care." And it wasn't just her begging someone to care. McFadden's original victim and his former cellmate, the one he assaulted, also contacted the authorities, warning that he was a danger to the community and should not be released. While this case was immediately deemed solved, it has also raised concerns about possible connections to the dark web. An investigator noted that, quote, "There was enough electronics in that house to run an underground sex ring." And the family of Ivy Webster put out this statement. The family of Ivy Webster were shocked to discover that computers and cell phones had not been seized by law enforcement when they viewed the inside of this house of horrors. No words can express this family's fear that the sexual assault of their baby girl has been placed on the dark web. We demand that law enforcement seize all electronic devices and hunt down all sexual predators who have witnessed the suffering of Ivy Webster. And I wholeheartedly agree with them, because this is not a baseless fear to the crime scene. The Webster family attorney publicly announced 32 different cell phones and individuals used McFadden's House of Horrors as their location address. I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but I do know that 32 individuals is a lot for any address and is absolutely concerning at this one. And in June 2023, OSBI revealed it was reviewing, quote, "extensive amounts of digital evidence," and that agents still needed to identify and interview other material witnesses. But to my knowledge, after that, there has been no further update on anything that was found there. And then, in December 2024, just a few months ago, the house mysteriously burned down in a suspicious fire. This case has big Wendyville vibes to me. I think this will eventually prove to be much bigger than originally thought, just like there, and could reveal an underground network of dark web content, crime, and corruption.
Even be
and then you got
involved.
the fire, the dark web thing. This is just like Wendyville, minus the cannibalism. Also,
Yeah, we had a cop here that got popped for doing little girls and having child pornography. Ended up shooting himself and lighting the house on fire. Good riddance.
I think it's kind of ironic that this sheriff's name was also Sheriff Rice. I believe that this
We have a cool little compilation here of some cylindrical shaped UFO objects that have been seen over the years. This is just a small portion of what we've actually witnessed, and this little compilation was put together by G9 UFO Research on X, okay? And there's some very stark pieces of footage here. We've got the one from England 2011, England 2016, England 2018, Denmark 2020, and Texas 2021. And for those of you that have been here for a little while now, you see this object appearing from all over the world, from Mexico, mainly Latina countries, and England for whatever reason. But
do you remember the one that they found that had crashed and slid across the snow? I believe that was Antarctica, somewhere like that, somewhere very snowy. And they're like, "Oh no, it's just a piece of the mountain," but it looked exactly like one of these. At all?
it does show face in other specific locations. And since reviewing this footage, it kind of sparked my brain about the old painting that came from 1561 of the Nuremberg phenomenon, okay? For those of you not very familiar with what this painting is, again, it comes from 1561, a celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg, okay? And if we're looking at the painting here, we've got all these type of orbs, and we've got two cylindrical shaped craft or objects here on the right hand side, and they seem to be spitting out types of orbs. And if you're looking at UFO footage in current day, when people are filming these cylindrical type objects, they appear to either jet out weird bits of plasma, or these orbs appear from basically being ejected from whatever it is, okay? And with this specific painting, starting in 1561 in Nuremberg, Germany, over a span of 4 years, on 4 separate occasions in 2 different countries, there were documented news articles describing around dawn of April 14th, 1561, residents of Nuremberg, Germany saw that they described as an aerial battle, okay? An aerial battle in 1561. That is hella suspect, okay? Followed by the appearance of a large black triangular object and then a large crash outside of the city. According to witnesses of the time, there were hundreds of spheres, cylinders and other odd shapes, objects that moved erratically overhead. The illustrated article can be found here. Let's have a look. And this is what the full original article looked like when it got released at the time, okay? Hella interesting. You can find this online just by typing in Nuremberg sighting 1561. After the Nuremberg sighting that everyone witnessed, okay, around 4 years later, or less than 4 years later, in Basel, Switzerland, the same thing was apparently witnessed 3 different times over the span of 2 weeks, described in roughly the same detail and even artistically portrayed the same way, okay? Look at this in comparison to the Nuremberg sighting. Orbs in nature, the face which kind of represents the sun, I should guess, and just all these kind of erratic shapes happening, alright? So flipping interesting. Go to the wiki and get the English transcripts of these articles that were written here, okay? And they go into incredible detail, basically describing the colours, shapes, movements, apparently even crashes of these strange celestial objects. So there's 2 different stories here that are linking up very similar, okay? And think about an aerial battle in 1561. No, bruv. Would not happen in a million years. And all these sightings of cylinders, triangles, orbs, what are we seeing today, right? Exactly the same stuff. I don't know, man. You guys, let me know what you think. I thought this was a cool connection. We have a cool little compilation.
It's pretty interesting.
All right, so this is an interesting one, and it's not the first time I've talked about him, actually. Neil deGrasse Tyson, sir. He was on Fox, and they were basically talking about this Age of Disclosure documentary that's coming out. And I just feel like he's got this predisposition to shit on anything that's UAP related without looking at it.
Yeah.
In a non-biased fashion, as a scientist should.
He knows everything.
The fact that this man is all about space and frontier and all this stuff, I'm just a little bit confused with his stance on this. Surely, instead of saying this man isn't qualified to answer this question, there was a clip of Jay Stratton talking about the fact that he's seen crafts as well as ET, and he immediately went after him and go, no, hang on a minute. How does he know he's seen ET? He's not qualified to answer those questions. Wait, hold on a second. Like, how does he not know it's not something else? I'm like, well, like, these guys have clearly worked on these programs, as they say. There's 34 of them in this documentary, Neil. What is your deal? I'm trying to understand. Look, I'm not.
He's probably getting paid.
I'm not going at this from a sort of personal perspective. I'm trying to understand your stance here, because you don't seem to be looking at this as a scientist. You seem to be just dismissing all of this with some form of cognitive dissonance or a lack of insight or intrigue, which is weird because that's what you've been doing. Like, I grew up watching you, okay? And, you know, if this message ever reaches you, your stance on this is very strange. I don't get it. But because of you and your passion for what you do, that's why I'm fascinated with science, especially anything to do with astronomy. Why are you so dismissive of all of this? Why are you not leading the way online as a presenter and showing people, let's look at this, you know, as scientifically, dispassionately, if you like, and go, right, instead of saying he's not qualified, why aren't you asking, who is this guy? How long has he worked in that position? What department was he in? What legacy programs was he working on? What SSCI clearance does he have? None of that was asked. I don't understand this constant pushback. And I get that there's got to be to and froing, right? But with Neil, it's clearly a predisposition to just go, no, sorry, no, cannot, not possible, no, do not pass go, fuck my life. Like, no, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. As a scientist, you should be so intrigued at the notion that this is something that we're alive to look into now, yet your stance is the polar opposite. Why? I'm actually genuinely curious. Like, do you know everything there is to know about this topic? I'm pretty sure that I would challenge you quite well on this because I've been doing nothing but this for the past 2 years. Do you know about Arrow? Do you know about all of the whistleblowers? Do you know who David Grush is? Do you know who Michael Gold is? Do you know who Michael Schellenberger is? Do you know, what Lou Elizondo has said so far? Have you read his book Imminent? Do you know who Jay Stratton was? Do you know who Colonel Carl Nell is? Like, do you know about SA 2610 demanding eminent domain over all reverse engineering programs? What do you know? Because there's a group of people out there that are going to sit here, listen, watch Fox, listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson shit on this thing and go, right, because Neil deGrasse Tyson said that, it's obviously bullshit. I follow him. I've been following him for 20, 30 years. Whatever he says goes. There is a large group of people that follow this man that will take everything he says as gospel.
Yeah.
And I just think that his stance is not fair. As a scientist, especially someone in the public spotlight, this doesn't add up and it doesn't make sense. And you need to take a bit more responsibility with the subject and start acting like a scientist.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but Gary Nolan said
dipshit.
this. Well, I quote from Gary Nolan, he bloviates. When was the last time he wrote a paper? Kind of a valid point here, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like, what's going on, dude? Like, what is going on? Are you read in? Have you been tasked with pushing out a counter-narrative to this to stop people digging? You know, I could ask the same for Elon Musk as well, after what Ross Coulthard said about him being partially read in on the legacy programs. What is your deal, dude? What is your deal? And again, I'm not saying that as someone that's upset. I'm saying that as someone that is trying to report on this objectively, given all of the stuff that we have available to us. But when it comes from you, it's very hard for it not to strike a chord because I grew up watching you and idolizing you, and now on this topic, you're just like, no. Whether it's cognitive dissonance or Copernicus crisis, now I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry. This is a bit of a rant today, guys, but I really want to know your thoughts, guys, on this, and why Neil deGrasse Tyson is pushing so hard against this without asking the inquisitive, scientific-backed questions. He didn't ask any relevant questions in that interview. He just immediately went on the defense and go, no, he's not qualified, no. How do you know it's not? How do you know it's an alien? What did you look at to know if it was alien or not? Jay Stratton kind of like read into like legacy programs, like, hello, like, where have you been for the last 18 months? Anyway, that's it for now, guys. You heard it first from DK, and if you haven't checked already, Porridge is now available on TikTok Shop in the UK. That's Porij. Check it out. See ya.
Thanks, babe. All right, Auntie, you're going to have to wait till after the break. Because on this break, boys and girls, we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard from Los Angeles, California, and he is going to be singing Finger Bang Your Day, Consensual Sex Van, and we got Miss Mia Savage with Our New Reality. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
When your life is a never-ending train wreck and you feel like you're drowning in a sea of regret, with a bit of oppression pressing down on your neck, it hurts so bad. When your overwhelming hatred kills your heart's desire and reality starts looking like a dumpster fire, you start bitching to me, but you're preaching to the choir. You don't need to be so mad. 'Cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world goes completely insane, open your heart, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, I'll finger bang my day.
What are we really doing? We can't live in a world that has this much hate. We have to get honest with ourselves. We have to take stock in what our part is in all of this madness. We have to let go. And we focus on giving love, setting that intention. And each and every single one of us gets up every day with the intention to give love. And we do it. We go out there and we give love every single day. Each one of us gets out there and makes love to our day. Giving our day a multiple orgasm. The whole world will be orgasmic for the rest of eternity. Sometimes we hurt. Sometimes we cry. Sometimes we should. There's no reason to try when the whole world is fucking insane. We open our hearts, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Finger bang my day. Finger bang my day. Let's open our hearts, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah. Finger bang my day. Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Let me take you far away from all this huff and puff. There will be nothing in between our love, like a pair of doves flying high above, where nothing can touch us, touching softly. Don't let me go, I won't let you go. This is eternity with me, baby. Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? You don't have to be alone. Come with me. Magic, healthy laughter, boundaries, safe space, ongoing mutual consent, passion. Happily we'll be bearing our souls, naked by the sea. We'll breathe the clean air. We'll be living, laughing, loving forever. Baby, do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? You don't have to be alone anymore. We will be together forever in love. Do you wanna go for a ride? Do you wanna go in my consensual? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Just get in the van.
In a sea of broken hearts, won't let you fall apart. We'll make a brand new start. When you're coming back, I wanna take a ride. I wanna show him love. I wanna knock him down. Come on with me to our new reality. You don't need all the shit that he brings anymore. You're mine. You're mine. Tonight. You're mine. Come with me to our new reality. You don't need all the shit that he brings anymore. You're mine. You're mine. Tonight, you're mine. You're mine. You're mine.
Drop a can of drip, drip, drip. Drop a can of drip, drop a can of drip.
I got molar moves, got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it. All these hookers sweet on me. Look at them chasing me, showing me that ass. And I bagged up to snatch. I do this shit for free. Go down your Motel 3. She's taking selfies with the mullet like it's history. I can't outmaneuver you with that pussy, dude. You sit like Buddha waiting on it to come to you. My lines are straight to the point. She shows me gratitude. So what's your latitude? Let's adjust your attitude. Head for the alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini. I got molar moves. I got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Head for the alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it. Alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini. You're like the butt of a butter knife cutting up panini. So climb back in your kangaroo pouch like a rolling genie. These moves are hot, these locks I got. This power cannot be disputed and it can't be bought. So you can find me in the studio with all these thoughts. You wanna buy my style, but you can't be what you're not, neighbor. I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it. Got that motherfucking molar. You wanna touch it?
Yeah. Next time you come around here with your bitch ass, just remember how my mullet makes your hose pussy drip, drip, drip.
I got molar moves. I got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Never gonna cut it. I got molar moves. I got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Really cold in here, so I had to put my jacket on. It'd be nice to have a heater in here, but have it in the main bathroom for the kiddos. Yeah, we've been doing trippy TikToks tonight with me, TessaTNT, and we're going to get back into it. Remember what this chick's name is, Anti-Something. Let's go back to sharing screen.
No, but what? There's a man with a pack on his back in the desert. How did he die? Right? Pew, pew, pew. That question drove my little third brain crazy. 40 years later, I figured it out. Suckers! 40 years. Oh, but tiki-taki, no me. This is purely for entertainment purposes only. All things stated here, just speculation, just think it out loud, having a little bit of fun. I got new boots, I do. It's getting warm out, but I don't care. I still shop for them. Let's go. New boot koofing. Come on. And if they only would have let me take that question, my GT question for the Gifted and Talented program, in the bath or in the shower, because I will fight you on this hill. Water is a conduit. It's got some sort of magical, beautiful, spiritual connection to Yah. Oh, boy. SATs from now on in small little swimming pools. No, but no joke. This has driven me crazy. Well, there was a long period, if I'm going to be real for real. There was a long period between my grade school years and, I'd say 6 months ago. It didn't drive me crazy at all. Because along with all my other memories from the GT testing, poof, that was gone. I'm actually not upset about that because it would have driven me insane. But almost all of my memories from my testing of GT vanished. Could have been the pink juice, the bubblegum flavored juice that they had me drink while they put old 1970s headphones on my ears and tested my butt for frequencies. Not frequencies, I got frequencies all day long, yo. Wicka, wicka, wicka. But my tolerance, my pain level, how much I could handle different frequencies played right in my ears. Why would they do that, Auntie? Well, why don't we ask the man with the pack on the back in his desert? It's not his desert. Oh, I'm just pissed. No, that was one of the tests that they did. And as soon as all of these memories finally did come rushing back, I remembered a lot. I remember them telling me, we're going to play some sounds and let me know how these sounds make you feel. Does it make you feel angry or happy or lonely or scared? Or maybe sometimes these sounds can make you feel a color. Do you feel blue?
Yeah, this is weird. If you don't recall, Psychic Chris and I were talking about this. I think it was 3 weeks ago, but yeah, they used to have us do some trippy stuff in school, and I don't remember all the kids doing it, but I remember doing it.
Or purple, or green, yellow, or red? Let us know. That's odd. Not only are those the colors of the rainbow, yo. Oh, Abba. Oh, y'all just witnessed the laying of the egg of the fresh new baby little revelation. I will get back to you on that. But those are also the colors of the chakra. Chakras, because there's multiples, not just one of those colors. And each chakra is associated with different frequencies for unblocking. But you want to know what else I've learned over the past 6 months while being knee-deep in the spirit, long beyond the veil? Nose to nose, face to face with, well, let's just say not the ones that play nice in the realms. Oh, I tested those spirits. Pew, 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 and I tested them good. And I found one thing they cannot even pretend that they like. They can't even hide that they hate. Their faces get all distorted and their eyes start popping out. No, like literally bouncing out. My followers have seen this. And that is the sound of Tibetan singing bowls, bells, and tuning forks, i.e. frequencies. While the people at GT, gifted and talented, you dirty little mad face. Not only did they swipe all of our memories, I have no memories from 3rd, 4th, and 5th is when I started to but I have no memories of the testing until they got triggered by all of us talking about it. And I only have maybe 2 memories of 3 years of my entire GT class. Heck, so much so that one of my best friends, like a brother since we were little kids, Alexis, his mom and I were his mom was my pediatrician, but his mom and my mom were best friends. And we were like, this is when I was talking about actually the ones that backed Gate, GT, Gifted and Talented. She went on our tangent, and this was the first conspiracy theory my mom agreed on before I finished my first sentence. She knew something was wrong, because not only did it affect me later in my life with anxiety, panic attacks, I couldn't sleep at night, wetting my bed much more often and more longer. See, I was a genius kid. More longer than I would have. They probably did that to me too. It traumatized me. They did something to us. But me, I'm not going to say too much more, but me and my 2 friends, 2 guys that were in GT, the first class that ever came out, we all 3, let's just say, struggled in our teen and early adult lives. And I'm here to tell you, I had rage, anger issues. This little thing. Oh, I was the sweetest little girl. I used to bake brownies for the little elderly neighbor next to me. I think she got the diabetes because of me. And she was too nice to tell me to stop. But that little ball of sunshine, I became a big old ball of rage. I was mean. I scared me sometimes. What did they do to us at GT? But what I want to tell you, because I got to get ready here in a second, the man with a pack on his back in the desert, how did he die? Son of a bitch drove me crazy for years. And they told us we couldn't tell any of our classmates, family members, or friends any of the questions or what the test involved. Top secret much? That's not weird. I'm sure my mom would not know she is not happy about the pink bubblegum juice that you made me drink while I listened to frequencies, letting you know if I was a demon or an angel. Y'all know how many of us have Rh negative blood. Big old foreheads, big old brains, genius IQs. You knew exactly what you were doing. And now that I am 48 years old, 40 years since I got that dang question that haunted me, that was probably what made me pee my bed half the time. I figured it out. I did, in my prayer box, in my think tank, in my shower. I wasn't even trying to figure it out. I was just thinking about that bastard because he really does haunt me the past 6 or 7 months since I remembered that question when somebody brought it up. Wolves. He was attacked and killed by wolves. Yes! Suck on that, CIA. Gate. A man with a pack on his back in the desert. How did he die? He was attacked by a pack of wolves. Coming in hot. There's got to be some sort of points I should give. No, I don't want any GT points. Y'all can keep it. I say good day. On that note, I'm going to leave you with this. Another one of those beautiful revelations that my father landed on my noggin. I'm so heated.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Hayes?
Anyways, the other revelation I had was one day this summer when I woke up, and it wasn't even something I was thinking about. GT. Gate. Gifted and Talented Education. Well, the CIA, they knew what they were looking for. The children. Children with gifts like me. Telepathy, psychic clairvoyant mediums, people that can remote view. That's why they put the blindfold on us and made us guess what shapes they were holding up in front of us. Come on. And this is why none of our parents were even aware we were being tested.
I have a terrifying encounter that I have to share with you, and I'm actually going to read the witness's account word for word. Listen to what she has to say and tell me what you think. This past summer, we purchased a 30-year-old home on 10 acres in a farm country on the Michigan-Ohio border. The house was built by a man who sold it to us, and he lived there with his wife until they got too old to maintain it. Alongside of our property, marking our property line, is an old dirt road that's long been abandoned, is now overgrown with trees. We call it the lane, and it's a highway for animals and my 3 preteens, who were immediately drawn to the trees. Within the first couple of weeks, my 2 youngest and a friend of theirs experienced something that frightened them, and now the kids don't go out after dusk. My husband, who has planned on using the lane to hunt, is now nervous about his evening hunts. This is what happened, and as best as I can describe it from my daughter's point of view. The 3 girls went out to walk the lane in the dark. They each had a cell phone and were using the flashlights on them to guide their steps. About halfway down the lane, my oldest daughter, I'll call her E, suddenly felt heavy and scared. She said she felt like she couldn't go any further or shouldn't go any further. E was walking in front and stopped. She moved her light from the path and upwards and saw a being that stood midway in the path, roughly 30 feet in front of her. She describes it in detail, and I had her draw a picture, which I will attach. It was the form of something human-like, with no head, no hands or feet. She said it was light gray and somewhat translucent. It began moving towards her on the lane, and she described it as a gliding, but then even though she couldn't tell it had something like legs moving, it was almost like a long skirt. The legs were fused together, and it was gliding across the ground while seemingly putting one leg in front of the other. E says she immediately felt like it wanted them to leave, like it was protecting something. But even though she was scared, she said she didn't feel like it wanted to hurt them, just scare them. Her fear made her angry and she yelled at it, "No, stop, stay back." I was in our backyard at the time, and though I couldn't make out what she was saying, I recognized her tone as very angry, and I thought her and her sister were fighting. I heard the girl screaming and E angrily yelling stuff in the lane. E turned around and pushed one of the other girls back in the opposite direction. The two girls behind her recognized that E was very scared and just turned and ran in the dark. They did not know what they were running from, but screamed in fear as E yelled, "Run, it's coming." As one of the girls in front was running, she tripped and fell and lost a shoe. E, who was still behind them, pushing them in a panic, bent down to help the girl up. She says, as she bent down and grabbed the girl's shoe, she looked behind her, again pointing the light in that direction. The entity was now crawling, gliding towards them. It wasn't fast, but this slow movement that never really touched the ground. It was at this time that the entity was witnessed by the girl that had fallen. She states she saw this gray mist, human-like thing bent over. The three girls ran out of the trees and didn't turn around until they were almost at the house. They couldn't see it anymore. I'm trying to figure out what this thing was. The idea of it being a ghost seems strange because the houses here are spread so far apart, and I know no deaths occurred in this house. I wondered if they startled something that was protecting the land. Teens with electronics may have been a surprise to an ancient entity who was not expecting them. I do know that the Shawnee Indians call this area home amongst some other tribes, and there are Indian mounds about 15 miles down the road. My question is, what do you think this is? Is there something we can do, an offering we can make to let it know we mean no harm? My husband thinks making a tobacco offering may be a good idea, and I'm actually planning on buying 7 more acres that currently being farmed and planting native trees and native grasses.
That'd be cool.
So what do you guys think? What did their daughters encounter? Was it some sort of ancient Native American spirit? Was it a ghost?
Elemental.
Maybe something else. Comment below and tell me what you think.
When we think about the Men in Black, we think about the UFO crash recovery program and the psychic spy program. We imagine it being like spooks that live in some invisible realm. Like we never see them and they never come out of their underground facilities. But the truth is it's a small world. There's not a whole lot of people in this country that have the level of physics, advanced quantum physics understanding and laser physics understanding and consciousness to even face all of this. There's probably less than, 10 to 20 people that are even qualified, and even less than that would want to, so it's pretty wild when you think about it. It's actually a pretty small group of people that connect these dots all the way up to today and what's going on. They were literally all together. You've got Hal Puthoff, and there he is in the original photo with Edgar Mitchell and Uri Geller, and there they are. There's Hal Puthoff. And even to this day, I just showed you the photo, and we're going to see video clips where Hal Puthoff is working directly with Lou Elizondo, and a lot of this stuff going all the way up to Washington, D.C. So Hal Puthoff has been there since the beginning, and he's kind of the next piece of the puzzle, aside from like
the other guy that was further to the left. I don't know if you were here for the last Trippy TikToks. which was after Dr. Christopher Macklin, but that fellow with the longer hair and the more casual dress was basically one of their seers, like people that could see on Mars or different other places like that, but they showed him that material and he said, yeah, it's definitely alien and not human. So that's interesting.
Like Lou Elizondo. We're not going to get into Lou that much. I
name.
honestly would like to get him on here for an interview so I could ask him about a lot of these connections. But there he is actually handling the material in this video. There's Lou. Elizondo. There's an actual piece of alleged metamaterial. There was Linda Moulton Howe. And so Linda Moulton Howe, remember, clear back in the beginning, she worked with Art Bell at Coast to Coast AM. And she was the originator that took the metamaterials called Art's Parts that allegedly came from Roswell. So somehow they ended up, there it is, there's the piece of metamaterial. They ended up going from Edgar Mitchell in Roswell to Art Bell after Art Bell did an interview with Edgar Mitchell in Las Vegas where they talked about remote viewing on the moon and they talked about Roswell. All of a sudden, a shoebox shows up at Art Bell's desk that has parts and a letter, has aluminum or metal looking parts in it and a letter saying that these are from a UFO crash from an anonymous person, probably Edgar Mitchell. And this is that piece of one of those little pieces of materials. And Linda Moulton Howe, when she very first publicly came out to talk about it in this presentation, she holds up a tape recorder and she said, the first thing that I did was sent the metamaterial after I was on the radio and we talked about the metamaterial and how it was showed up in a shoebox. A physicist called in from the DIA and said he would like to analyze it. And who was that analyst and who was that scientist from the DIA? It was Travis Taylor. This video clip was actually Travis Taylor running electromagnetic field experiments on this metamaterial. And he claimed that when you would try to interact with it or even touch it or sometimes even think about it, that this piece of metal would lift up off of this insulator thing that he created, the static electricity insulator thing that he made, that it would lift up and move around like it had anti-gravity clear back then. This was before he worked at Skinwalker Ranch, before he was even involved there or anything, but it was definitely him. And I actually texted Travis Taylor when I saw this video of Linda Moulton Howe, and she mentioned him. And Travis Taylor's reaction to me was, yeah, everybody says it was Hal Put. He goes, yeah, everybody says it was Hal Putoff that tested it first, and nobody gives me credit for that. That's literally what Travis said to me when I asked him about the metamaterial, but he was actually the first one to test it. So, and the other fascinating thing is Travis Taylor has written a book about the law of attraction. He has published a book called The Science Behind the Secret, which is an entire book about using your mind and meditation in order to manifest the life that you want. And he actually has published a book called The Science of the Secret about manifestation and the law of attraction.
So we're smart.
But he was legitimately the first one to test it. So think of why would he write a book like that when he's in the DIA and he's working on the UFO program, and now he's on the History Channel at the Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, mentalism, right? It's like remote viewing and meditation, this whole philosophy of manifestation, of how consciousness is actually part of our reality and quantum entangled with it. He's literally wrote books about that stuff. And this is him testing the metamaterial clear back then. These dots that connect are so close together that we can't even see the forest for the trees, and we're looking for this mystery, and it's literally right in our face, and it's right on TV, and it's right in our pop culture movies. When we
It turns out some of the rich and famous of the United States are hitting the road, moving to England, because Trump is president now. I might be having deja vu. I think I've heard this before. Yeah, but this time they're serious and they're going to England. The Ryan Gosling and his wife Eva Menendez are rumored to be moving to England. I sure hope that doesn't affect the making of Fall Guy Part 2. This actress, American Fiera, she said she's leaving for England too. Truthfully, I don't know who the hell that is. And let's not forget America's biggest star, Alyssa Milano. She said this week she's selling all her properties in red states and moving out of the United States. I'm almost in a panic. How am I ever going to survive without Alyssa Milano's pearls of wisdom? Oops, I need to mention something to all those people heading to England. Be careful what you post there on social media, because it looks like people are starting to get prosecuted for what they say online in England.
It's okay to rape women and little girls and kill them and stuff, but you can't say stuff online that goes against what they think. It's so ridiculous.
They'll be okay. None of the Hollywood stars ever say anything inflammatory or incorrect in their social media posts. Let's just hope the ladies from The View don't decide to hit the road and leave the United States. Because without that show, how could we possibly be able to survive? Shabadoo Bushkies! Shabadoo!
I want to give you a sneak preview of my buddy's research with magnetic fields. His name's Nigel, and he researches magnets and how they interact with light. Okay, so the general narrative is we have gravitational lensing and things like that. He can recreate a lot that we see in the cosmos and create these awesome toroidal field patterns, bending light and laser light, squiggling light, and bending light, and even spiraling light. Now, doesn't that kind of look like Saturn's rings a little bit? You know, he's almost recreating what we see and what modern science says is gravitational lensing. Look, is that a galaxy? Or is that... He says that white spot up there at the top was as hot as the sun. It was melting his equipment. And it's incredible what magnets and electromagnetism can do. Now, this photo in particular, I was very interested in because you've got this toroidal field with a laser light bending into it, and how it looks a lot like the black hole that modern science gave us. It was, of course, enhanced for our viewing pleasures, but they say that gravitational lensing is taking place around the event horizon, and light is bending and warping into that gravitational field, right? And not even light can escape it, right? They call this gravitational lensing, and it's done around different celestial bodies as well. But could it simply be electromagnetism? This is spiraling laser light here that we're talking about. And ionic phenomenon are taking place as he's doing this research. I want to have him on to discuss some of these things, but he said that white light there at the top was so hot it was burning and melting his equipment. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I want him to explain this photograph, because by the way it sounded, this was like almost an optical phenomenon, like this illusion almost of this infinite tunnel with a light at the end. I want him to explain this better. I want to have him on the live show to just let us have it, man. I want to give you a sneak preview.
So these two clowns wanted me to do the brain rot word challenge. Mainly that clown. And I explained to them that I'm chronically online, so I know what all these words mean. But she doesn't, so we can do it with her. And it'll be funny. Because half the time when she talks, it sounds like banjo's playing. So without further ado, let's do this. Water up, boys.
Oh no.
I can't open mine.
I'm going to show you a word. You have to read the word, and then you have to tell us what you think it means.
Okay. Level 10 yacht.
Yet.
It means somebody has a really big butt.
Bro, why did you blow it on me?
No, I looked at you and...
We still have 3 lives. He has 2 lives. All right, here we go.
Can we upgrade it to 5 lives? Because
No.
nobody is going with...
Hold on. Hold on, don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Type shite. What does that? I've not heard that at all. I have no idea. I don't know.
Okay. I'm up 2. We have 2. He has 1.
What? How do you
can't say that.
How do you say it? How do you say it?
Type shit.
Oh, well, it's not spelled like that. Not even heard of at all. Where the huzz at?
Where the hose at?
Where the hose at? It's spelled like huzz. H-U-Z-Z.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it is? Is that what it means? Hose? Yeah, I don't know what that is. Other than it looks like you spanked somebody's bottom. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that again. Do not get Skibbity toilet.
Uh-oh.
Definitely heard of it. Don't really know what it means. It means something really bad. Low taper fade. A haircut? Sigma Riz. It means you're super styling.
Means you got game.
Riz is like high level.
Okay.
I assume.
Simp.
Simple-minded person.
Oh, you're joking.
Simp. Is that what it is? Why did you throw up everywhere?
I didn't throw up. What do you mean?
Why do y'all keep blowing it on me?
Because you're in the middle.
That means you, like, glaze a girl.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
That don't
either.
sound right.
Means your dodo.
You'll do anything for...
Yeah, you're infatuated. Yeah, you're a simp.
You'll do anything for...
Water up. You lose. You're out, but you still got to water.
I waterboarded. I had to spit it out.
Is that an elf? Phantom tax. Phantom tax.
That's on that booty?
You owe money to some fans.
It means you take somebody else's food.
Oh, okay. Never heard that one either. Chode?
There's this thing, it's called the friendship case. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
story is so weird and bizarre, really hard to believe. In 1956, there was these Italian men apparently found this map of this castle that was close to them. They got there, and these two, they said they looked like humans, but they weren't.
Wow.
One of them was 10 feet tall, and the other one was 3 feet tall.
Stooges.
Oh,
they were aliens.
Perfect couple.
They went by W56. But apparently these alien people, they have these underground bases. They said they've been here for centuries. They even have bases in the ocean. Their whole purpose of being on Earth is to save humanity from themselves, especially regarding nuclear bombs.
Yeah, fair.
But apparently there's 100 witnesses to these people, and there's photo evidence and video evidence of them showing them their flying saucers. But they said the only way that their technology works is if there is friendship and love.
What?
So, like, we're not experiencing love within humanity or friendship or compassion. They said our technology doesn't work.
That's really cute.
It's like Santa's sleigh.
But they said that there's another group of aliens that have been here since they've been here, the CTR. Basically, they're enemies. And it says they are described as materialistic and strictly scientific, more cold and calculated. Witnesses have depicted the CTR as human-like, often bald, and seen driving dark Mercedes limousines in Italy, reminiscent of the Men in Black phenomena reported elsewhere.
Crazy.
Yeah. There's this thing, it's called the friendship case. Have you ever heard of this?
Unanswered questions after a 911 call in Pueblo from a funeral home and cemetery. August 11th, just before 3:30 in the morning, the police department communications center got a call that they refer to as abandoned, meaning the other person hung up. So they called back, got an answer, and heard mostly static.
Ooh, I got the chill.
An officer was sent out to check out the funeral home and cemetery and says it was locked up and dark with no one in sight.
So that phone call that you just heard was coming from this funeral home and cemetery in Pueblo, Colorado. The call came in at 3:28 a.m. And when the dispatcher at the police station picked up the phone call, they listened, nobody said anything, and then the caller hung up. However, as you heard in that video, the police dispatcher then called the phone number back, and that's when they got that spooky voice. That is just one of the creepiest things I've ever heard, I do have to say. And that call and voice came from somebody or something within the cemetery gates. There's just something so eerie to me about stories of people receiving phone calls or text messages from their loved ones who have passed on, or even in this case, receiving a phone call from an empty funeral home and cemetery. It's completely unexplainable. To this day, there's been no explanation, and that audio recording haunts me.
Unanswered questions after...
What if our machines could be more than just our tools, and instead, a new type of companion species? I decided to make this world I'm describing a reality. I created 2 new machine species that I call aerobes. I released 12 aerobes so they could form their own small ecosystem. When you look at these aerobes, it gives you a feeling almost opposite to the uncanny valley. You know that they're mechanical, yet they feel palpably alive, and it makes you want to embrace and coexist with them. So I worked with my team to create what is called an artificial life simulation. This software allows each aerobe to develop unique behaviors and to respond autonomously to its environment. An aerobe might be curious about your heat signature and fly over to greet and flirt with you, while other aerobes are more shy and might go out of their way to avoid a crowd. My hope is that these aerobes will help us appreciate a more diverse way of living and being.
This man exposes how dark Hollywood parties can actually be.
Check this out, y'all. What I've been through. So basically, I was working at UMG, like I said, for 9 months, right? I was invited to a Christmas party. Now, if you know UMG, if you know where the building is, around the corner, there's a bar. Now, I ain't gonna lie, there was a woman in there that I liked. She was like, yeah, I'm going. You going? And I was like, yeah, all right. You know, there was some higher ups in there. You know, we having drinks. Something told me not to drink because this is what they do. They get you drunk, get all the information they can get out of you and get you to sign these bogus contracts. That was one thing that kind of threw me off. And so he's like, yeah, you come to the party and I'll introduce you to her. There's Joni and Michelle. I'm drinking like an idiot. which I should have never did. This calls me over, says, hey, tell me about yourself. Mind you, I'm drinking beers, I'm drinking vodka, I'm drinking wine, but it seemed like my drink was stronger than everybody else's. I was f***ed up. So she's like, tell me about yourself. And I'm like, what do you want to know? She's like, what do you do? So mind you, then the lady, Shell, right? And I never really liked her anyway, because she had a chain. She had a chain on that she wore every day faithfully. Now, when I tell y'all what kind of chain it was, she had horns, a canutus chain. And you know what this is? Canuto, the horns? She had that in 24 karat gold, and she wore it every day. And it was around her neck faithfully, so I knew what she believed in. She's like, what do you do? I'm like, I just work. She's like, ever thought of doing music? I'm like, yeah, I used to back in the day. And she's like, you believe in ghosts? And I'm like, where did that come from? She's like, just answer the question. Do you believe in ghosts? And I said, no, I never seen a ghost before. So she's like, do you know about the room? And Chuck walked in there, and they have mirrors. They have events and stuff down there, like rappers coming. Yeah, they have mirrors and candles and all kind of demonic looking shit. Walked the up out of there. And I said, yo, man, I'm not with that Santeria shit.
As always, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you ever...
I wanted to hear more.
I don't know what's going on, and my cat just decided to plop down right here, but I literally heard that this is the next episode of Fuck Around and Find Out. We got the hanged one on the bottom of the deck and 9 of wands. It's like somebody's literally preparing to try to like... Let's start over. Yeah.
The Die Glock is an amazing device that was being developed by the Nazis during World War II. This Die Glock, again, technology that they learned about through an advanced civilization that they were in communication with through the Thule Society. Thule, Thule, Thule Society, they were using psychics to channel information from an advanced alien race. And they were taking this knowledge and then turning it into actual real workable technology. And so they had this thing in Germany called the henge, where they had these gigantic stone pillars in the shape of a henge, and they had the Die Glock in the middle. It looked like an acorn, a UFO type, but an acorn shaped UFO. And it had these multi-counterclockwise spinning pieces on it that was spinning all different ways. The ultimate purpose of it seems to have been some type of time travel. And this thing at one point, based on eyewitness accounts, it's turned on and activated and it disappeared from the hinge. It was seen like, I forget how many decades later, I think it crashed somewhere in Virginia or something, according to these accounts. It reappeared later and it crashed somewhere, I believe, in the Americas. The Die Glock is an amazing device.
Hey friends, so are the Greys soulless biological androids that were created by the Anunnaki, which are interdimensional beings, and the purpose of...
So I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard a long time ago that RH negative originate in an area near France, and they're basically like alien humanoid. I'm not sure, but a lot of times if they don't mate with the right person, it'll try to kill the baby within them. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, it's this little area, I think on the either west or north or west of France, but it's pretty interesting.
Of the Greys was to monitor the Anunnaki's creation on Earth, which is the RH negative man, and that these Greys and their UFOs have sensors and capabilities of identifying and selecting the RH negative people on Earth, and that if you are RH negative, you are up to 100 times more likely to be abducted by these gray aliens. And the purpose of the gray aliens abducting you is that they're doing sort of investigative kind of like experiments and observations to see how the RH negative people are doing and how they are integrating with the other species of humans on Earth, and sending that information back up to the Anunnaki, who created both the Greys to observe and the RH negative humans on Earth. Huh. So that's wild, right? So I was sent that information by somebody who I actually very much trust. I've been communicating with this person for a long time, and they always blow my mind with their kind of inside data. And they told...
Speaking of Greys, I don't know if you heard a long time ago on my show, I was talking about, and I've talked about it several times, my kids almost being abducted, but they were able to escape. Yeah. Never mind, I can't think with the dog barking outside.
And I was like,
Think
wow,
of it
that's
here in a
super
minute.
interesting. So I looked into it, and I was like, okay, is there any like verifiable kind of data or statistics that back up the fact that Rh negative humans might be not native to Earth, might be bioengineered by something else. And there's this rhesus factor. It's this antigen that Rh negative people lack, and that antigen is tied to primates on Earth. So there's a theory that basically if you don't have that primate antigen, that you were not evolved from primates. Something happened along the way. And this was explored by Nick Redfern and a couple of his books, and a whole bunch of other researchers. It was on ancient aliens. A bunch of people have dove into this whole Rh negative and lacking that primate antigen and the rhesus factor is what they call it, and all this different stuff. Okay, and then there was a couple other researchers, Margaret Stoner, two different researchers that did a pretty big study on abductees and found that yes, if you're Rh negative, you are way higher likelihood of being abducted by these greys. And, there's not any real peer-reviewed double-blind type studies, because most, real researchers stay away from this topic. The government itself stays away from this topic. But there is a lot of anecdotal stuff, and there are a lot of researchers that have done their own private studies and have found that there is a link between Rh negative people and being abducted. Okay, so if there is this kind of weirdness with Rh negative, it's mostly blonde hair, blue eyes, and red hair, green-eyed people that have this Rh negative. It's only like 10 to 15% of the entire world have this Rh negative blood, and it's very anomalous. It's different than the other blood
Sarah
types.
has it.
And then when you talk to people that are Rh negative, they tell you that a lot of them have had encounters and abductions since an early age, all sorts of clairvoyant, clairaudio, different kinds of, abilities, psychic abilities, that kind of stuff. There seems to be something different about the Rh negative. Now, is there any validity to the fact that maybe the Anunnaki, who might be these interdimensional beings, actually seeded that race on Earth and created it?
I remember what I was going to say. I was doing some cleaning around the house recently, and I found some of my daughter's old notebooks, and I saw some of her drawings of aliens and UFOs and stuff like that. Like, it was pretty trippy. I need to ask her about it.
Basically, the story goes, took already evolving, humanoids on Earth and basically engineered, hybridized
Mr.
them
Hayes.
with the Anunnaki bloodline
and
created these
Hope
new
to see you tomorrow
Homo
night.
sapien.
If you want to hear
And
about the
that is
Nazis
Rh
and the
negative, and that
occult.
these greys are here to
Have a
kind
good
of
night.
survey and monitor and come down every once in a while and take samples and kind of check up on their creation. I don't know. It's super interesting. It actually explains a lot of things, but I don't know. So I don't discount this guy who sent me this original message, because he knows way more than I do, and he's constantly blowing my mind. And then when I looked into this, there actually is some data that backs this up. So it's not just some crackpot theory. And no one else can explain why the abductions happen. And they do seem to be sort of centralized in like the more European and American areas. I understand they do happen all over the world.
They
And part of
originated
that,
near
according
France.
to Nick Redfern and a couple other people, is that they are not just monitoring the Rh negative people, but also monitoring
look it
how
up on break.
they are interbreeding and how they are mixing with other races. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Crazy stuff. Have a beautiful day. Peace. Hey.
This is absolutely incredible footage.
But it's pretty interesting how, like, they actually have medicine for the mothers to keep the babies. Anyways, on that note, boys and girls, we are going to go for a second music break. And on this break, once again, we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard from the Los Angeles area. I haven't played him in a while, because last time I played him, I think I got in trouble. But anyways, he's going to be singing Silicone Wave, Abandoned, and we're going to have Miss Mia Savage singing The Bottom Line. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Left here alone, just a shadow of my erection on the wall. Why won't you answer my calls? I gave you my all with the I just got a package, I can't wait to get home. I spent all day tracking the shipment on my phone, all that she was lacking. I ordered custom, I can't wait to get some. Take it to the bedroom, bitches always nagging. Now I got the air, I send the bitches packing, going my way. I have a new attraction, don't care what you say, it's better in every way. Now baby, it's time to play, we're gonna make us a tape and show everyone the way. Cause I'm cause I'm
dreams. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Fais-moi l'amour.
Je suis amoureux.
Je pense toujours à lui.
Enchanté.
Tu es charmant.
Ma chérie, ma
Tu es
flutte
charmant.
Easy touchy of the nipple.
Tu es chaud. Fais-moi l'amour.
choice. No record, no work, no job, no savings or money. Just a choice right now between fear and love. Right now, between fear and love.
Welcome back, Wapham crew. Tonight is Trippy TikToks with me, TessaTNT. So we're going to get right back into it. It's been pretty interesting tonight. We've had some pretty good ones on there for sure. All right, let's see what's next. This guy comes up with some pretty good stuff. Look at that. That is obviously a pyramid. You can't tell me it's not. Antarctica.
This is absolutely incredible footage over Antarctica. Look at this huge pyramid. That looks like a bit like the pyramid that we've seen the top of, pointing out some snow in Antarctica. Antarctica looks amazing. This footage is incredible. So this is a flyover of Antarctica quite recently, guys. I mean, what is this?
What is that?
What the hell?
Whoa.
This is truly incredible.
What the crack was that?
If this is real, it looks fairly real, but it could easily be AI. That's the problem these days. It is really hard to know, annoyingly. But this footage is absolutely incredible. What is that?
It's funny how the ice and stuff is melted around it.
I think we know a lot of stuff's been hidden in Antarctica, and there's a lot. It's a huge continent. It takes up one hell of a large amount of the planet. When you look at it, it is definitely one of the largest continents on the planet. And before the last ice age, it will have been green and fully inhabited, probably by much more ancient, advanced civilizations. Almost definitely. A lot of evidence does seem to suggest. Like, after the last ice age, there's a lot of stories of much older people, much older civilizations, and survivors of much older, ancient, advanced civilizations coming back and spreading knowledge again and teaching the Neanderthals and the tribes that had sort of managed to just about get back on their feet, telling them about how to set up irrigation systems, farming systems, civilizations and technologies. There's a lot of stories about this. There's potentially a lot of truth in it. This is absolutely incredible footage over Antarctica.
Incredible. Downtown LA. This guy's just cleaning off the spectral cobwebs, you know?
What's up? Shit!
Oh, that was just glare from the light. I wonder what he's seeing.
I think he's sweeping the leaves. Yeah, I'm trying to see where he can clean it.
You're doing an excellent job. Yeah, that looks really good. Keep it up. Can you get that dust right there?
Poor guy.
There you go. You got it. Perfect. Excellent.
Want to hear a story? This story is going to take us to the San Juan Mountains and the story of the Colorado cannibal. Alfred Packer was born in January 1842 in Pennsylvania. At the outbreak of the Civil War, he enlisted in the Union Army, but he was discharged because of seizures due to his epilepsy. After his second attempt to enlist and his second discharge, he moved west to join the ranks of hopeful prospectors seeking their fortune in the gold rush. He worked a variety of odd jobs as well, but he never kept any of them for long because of his health issues, but also because of his general bad attitude, along with a slight history of theft. He also didn't see much success from his mining, so by 1873 he was supplementing his income by working as a guide through the wilderness of Utah and Colorado. Though it was generally agreed by those who knew him that he did make a very good one because he was prone to getting lost. But in November 1873, a group of 21 men set out from Utah to travel to the San Juan Mountains.
Oh my gosh, this guy looks just like my niece's ex. His name was Lester Baldwin. Baldwin? I'll have to think about it. But anyways, he stayed here. He was totally psychotic. He actually beat his dog in front of me. I was like, you do that again, I'm calling the police on you. And we were out in the garage playing pool and stuff, and he went in to get something to drink or whatever and came back out, and he had thrown the pool, like the cue ball, down so hard that it bounced up and into my roof. And he's like, I lost it, don't know where it went. And I'm like, it's right there in the ceiling, but this looks just like him. And he actually, we made them leave just because, like I said, he was psychotic. He had threatened my brother-in-law and my brother Bear with a hatchet. And then he also threatened my husband with a knife. And so we're like, yeah, you just got to go because we got kids and we can't have this BS-ery going on. He went back to Arkansas. I think him and my niece split up, I hope. I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure she got tired of his stuff. And then he ended up slitting some guy's throat one night. Like he'd befriended him at a bar and then went with him to the ATM and then unalived him. Not cool. But yeah, it's crazy how he looks so much like this guy. Holy crap. Hello, girl.
On mountains. Word had spread that gold was found there. So the party's leader gathered some men together who were all mostly strangers to each other to go out and find it. The group was headed to Breckenridge, Colorado, and near Provo, the party encountered 31-year-old Alfred Packer, who offered his services as a guide, and they needed a guide. So they allowed Alfred to join the group. Because he had no supplies and no provisions with him, he actually paid $25 to join in. The group started out, he carried only his pistol. It didn't take long after entering the wilderness for it to become clear that Alfred had greatly exaggerated his qualifications and his knowledge of the Rockies. The group moved very slowly and often had to backtrack. And winter that year moved in hard and fast. As the group moved along the Old Spanish Trail, a heavy snowstorm struck and covered the path, forcing the party to stop often and rely only on a compass. And in no time, Alfred had them all hopelessly lost. Tensions rose, and Alfred became kind of hard to get along with. The men reported him to be lazy, greedy with food, and he argued constantly with another member, Frank Miller. Alfred also seemed oddly obsessed with how much money each man carried and questioned them often about it, which made them uncomfortable. Their food soon ran out altogether. The men were forced to survive solely on horse feed when they stumbled upon the encampment of Chief Ouray on January 21st, 1874. Chief Ouray was a prominent Ute leader and was known to be a man of peace. He welcomed the freezing, starving men into his camp. He fed and sheltered them and even offered to let them stay throughout the winter, and he warned them strongly against continuing their journey until the spring, saying that they would only encounter increasingly hazardous weather. Despite these warnings, 11 of the 21 men decided to continue on. The chief provided them with food and supplies and directed them to take a path around the mountains to the next outpost at the Los Pinos Indian Agency. However, Alfred, the guide, insisted on taking the shorter, direct route through the mountains. After a big argument, 5 men split off and went the way that the chief told them to, and 6, including Alfred, went up into the mountains. The group set out on February 9th, and it included Alfred, George California Noon, who was a teenager, a rich old dude named Israel Swan, who was said to be carrying thousands in cash, another man named James Humphrey, a red-haired Irishman named Shannon Wilson Bell, and oddly enough, the German butcher Frank Miller, the dude Alfred argued with all the time. All of the men carried only 14 days' supply of food, and between all of them only had two rifles and a pistol. They also didn't have snowshoes or heavy winter clothing. On April 16th, 1874, 65 days later, over 2 months, Alfred Packer arrived alone at the Los Pinos Agency. Men there, including Indian agent General Charles Adams, this guy right there, were eating breakfast when Alfred knocked on the door begging for food. Told them that he had been traveling with a group of companions, but that they'd gotten lost in a snowstorm and that they abandoned him after his feet became frozen and he could no longer walk. He said he survived only on roots and rosebuds and the occasional small game. The men sat Alfred down and provided him a meal, which he immediately vomited. He said that his state of prolonged near starvation had probably messed up his digestion, but General Adams noticed that Alfred didn't look starved. He looked healthy and well-fed. In fact, the general noted that he looked downright fat, especially for someone who had just spent 2 months lost in the mountains. Alfred spent 10 days at the agency before traveling to the nearby town of Saguache? Is that how y'all say that? And Alfred became quite the big spender there at the saloon. And while he was there, he also had the bad luck of running into a couple of members of the original party who immediately questioned him about the whereabouts of the others. And Alfred nervously gave them the same story he told at the agency. But these men did not.
Yeah, like I was saying, what she was saying before, like right here, behind her. See, there's Durango. Over here is Bayfield, where I live, then Pagosa, and then he went up here. But yeah, he was in the Los Pinos area, which is crazy.
Not buy that, especially when they noticed that he was carrying some of the possessions of the missing men, and that the satchel he carried that didn't even belong to him was full of cash when he'd had none at the beginning of their journey. After running into Alfred, the other men contacted General Adams at the agency. It turned out that he'd been quietly inquiring about the missing men at all the other nearby towns.
Sorry. His name was Lester Ballinger, but he went by Lucky.
Been unable to find them, so the general sent for Alfred under the guise of needing his help to form a search party, but his real intent was to question him. Alfred arrived back at the agency on May 4th. Here, General Adams sat him down and said point blank, "I believe those men are dead, and you know something about it." Then Alfred broke down in tears and changed his story. This time he claimed that the older man, Israel Swan, who was into his 60s, had been the first to die in the blizzard, and that the rest of them had eaten him in order to survive. He said that about a week later, Humphreys died and was also eaten, and then Frank Miller died in an accident, and that he had to shoot the last man in self-defense after Bell tried to kill him. He admitted to making human jerky and to also taking the men's money and possessions. And he signed off on the written confession on May 8th. He was held at the agency under threat of lynching if he didn't help find the bodies of his companions, so that the officials could find out if his story was true. And Alfred was supposed to lead the men to where he said this happened, but he kept deliberately leading the party astray and pretended to be bewildered and lost. And on the return trip, after stealing a knife and attempting to
pants on fire
one of the officers while he slept, Alfred officially became a prisoner and was turned over to the sheriff in town. When he was arrested, people began to whisper that Alfred Packer had led those men into the mountains deliberately in order to rob, kill, and eat them. This belief only grew when, in June, the bodies of the prospectors were finally found in a hemlock grove near Dead Man's Gulch. It was actually a reporter that found them, and he drew this illustration. The paper reported, quote, 4 of them were lying in a row, each one shot through the forehead. Their blankets were still over them, showing conclusively that they had been killed while sleeping. The 5th man, Bell, was laying some distance away with his head cut off. Signs of a struggle appeared, and it was evident that he'd fought desperately for his life. Most of the flesh was cut from Bell's body, but the others were not mutilated as badly, which proved the party was not out of provisions when killed and that Packer had killed all of them. They also found the shanty where Alfred had stayed nearby, with a well-worn path leading from the shelter to Bell's body and back. But while this discovery is being made back in town, Alfred had managed to escape from his jail cell and disappeared. He was finally found 9 years later near Fort Fetterman, Wyoming, where he was going by the name John Schwartz and working as a miner. He was transported by train back to Denver, where 100 people gathered to see the people-eating murderer. And he arrived on March 16th, 1883, and General Adams was there waiting for him. There, Alfred Packer changed his story for the 3rd time. This time he confessed that the 5 men hadn't gradually died along the way, that they had been murdered. But of course, not by him though. He claimed the party had all made it to Dead Man's Gulch. And while the others set up camp, he took one of the rifles to go try to hunt some food, and to also find the highest vantage point so that he could try to figure out which way to go from there. He claimed he was gone most of the day. When he returned, he saw 4 of his companions lined up in a row, dead in their blankets, and Wilson Bell sitting by the campfire, roasting the leg of Frank Miller. He claimed that when Bell noticed he returned, he ran at him with a hatchet, attacking him, and that Alfred shot him in self-defense, and that because he was stuck in the camp, in the snow, with no other food, he'd been forced to survive off their bodies. He told the story again at his trial in Lake City, but the jury didn't believe him, and Alfred Packer, the now convicted cannibal, was sentenced to hang. However, he was later spared the death penalty by some technicality of law. So he was retried and sentenced to 40 years, which he began serving in 1886. By this time, the story of Colorado's cannibal had spread far and wide in the newspapers, and a young barber in Denver named Duane Hatch recognized the picture of Alfred Packer as a man who had become his friend and benefactor when he was a teenager, a stranger at the time that he'd encountered, and Alfred had invited him to join his camp and helped him find a job at a cattle ranch. He remembered Alfred to be nothing like the cold-blooded killer he was depicted as in the newspaper, so he reached out to Alfred in prison, and they renewed their friendship. This man ended up hiring a team of very expensive lawyers seeking a pardon for Alfred, which was then picked up by a Denver Post reporter named Polly Pry, who advocated for Alfred's release. She proclaimed him to be a victim of circumstance and misfortune, instead of some cannibalistic murdering thief like everybody thought he was. Eventually, through their work, the public perception of Alfred turned, and many others joined in seeking his release. And as Governor Charles Thomas's last act before leaving office in January 1901, he paroled Alfred Packer instead of giving him a pardon. After Alfred's release, he got a job as a security officer at the Denver Post, and he spent the rest of his life living in Littleton, Colorado, where he was well liked by his neighbors. In fact, he was described as a kindly man who would take children on his lap and tell them of his early days in the Old West. He died on April 24th, 1907, of stomach and liver problems, and he was buried at the Littleton Cemetery. And the mountaintop where this incident occurred was named Cannibal Plateau, and there is a marker at the Packer Massacre site, as well as a memorial and graves
went to Lake City
of the
with
5
my
men.
bestie,
But still to this day, no one really knows
Still gotta
what
share those
happened here.
pictures.
Whether he killed them in cold blood in order to steal their belongings and eat them, or if he too was nearly a victim and just did what he had to do to survive, is still an enduring mystery. So what do you think Alfred Packer was? A cold-blooded cannibal or a victim of circumstance? Let me know. Want to hear a story?
Monsters are not always something out of myth.
Just can't stand her. I love Erin so much. I can't believe she did this.
And legends, folklore, your imagination. Sometimes the monster is very human and is the one closest to you. This is a breaking story
She spends the rest of her life
affecting the crew of Ghost Adventures. You may or may not have heard, but within the last 48 hours, the wife of Aaron Goodwin had been arrested for an attempted murder against her husband, a murder for hire plot. This is truly diabolical. And it honestly has blindsided everybody, and I'm sure including Aaron. The devastation and betrayal he must be feeling, it's truly tragic. And the following videos are literally of them just seemingly happy, a happy married couple. But like I said, it's always your nearest and dearest that sometimes you have to worry the most about.
You got this, babe.
I don't like it. I might throw up.
It's a haunted house.
I don't want it.
She's definitely afraid of haunted houses, but at least it's not real ghosts. Well, there are real ghosts in here, actually.
Ah, no! Send help!
Okay, I'm recording. What do you want to say?
I think I know what happened to all your hair.
What the fuck? Why?
It's all of these years of ghost hunting, it got scared off.
Oh my god, what the fuck? One of the stars of Ghost Adventurers got a very alarming phone call. And the essence was this. Aaron Goodwin was told by police detectives that his wife put a hit out on him, wanted to kill him, and was trying to do so by enlisting the help of a man who is in prison for murdering his parents and doing all sorts of other heinous things.
Type, don't she?
And that somehow she struck up a relationship with this guy while he was behind bars and ultimately asked him to find a hitman on the outside to do in her husband. It is a crazy story.
I'd say.
You know what? I don't even know how to start this video. I was going to do something completely different today, but after watching Jesse Michaels' interview with...
Ooh. I actually saw something on Mars and the structures and the giants and all kinds of stuff last week or the week before. Intriguing. There's pyramids, there's buildings, there's all kinds of stuff. Even the face that was seen.
Joe McGonigal.
Intense.
Oh my God. This is just... this is frustrating, incredible, and just shocking all at the same time. I'm supposed to do this stuff objectively without giving opinions and stuff, but sometimes I really, really struggle. I really, really struggle. So, effectively, the pull away from this is that, in essence, Joe McGonigal was remote viewing for the CIA for a very long time, I think over 30 years plus, and talks about when he was tasked with remote viewing Mars by JPL, that's Jet Propulsion Laboratories. Now, when he was tasked to do this, he said that he saw structures that were tens of thousands of feet high in terms of pyramids and monoliths and all sorts of things. And he said that there was humans just like us that were 10, 12 feet tall in height, so much taller than we were, that were in some form of cryostasis because the atmosphere was dying on the planet. So they were in cryostasis, effectively waiting for someone to come and help. But that's not the bit that's crazy. Joe McGonigal was angry about this because he couldn't substantiate the claim based on his remote viewing. He has to see proof of this, obviously tangible proof. So he then went to JPL. And he had the exact coordinates of this satellite mapping system that JPL have been doing for some time now, mapping Mars. He got the negatives of those locations. And not only did he put them in his book, but he also shows them on Jesse Michaels' interview. You guys have to see this for yourself. He said that they're not hiding anything. He said that you have to know exactly what you're asking for in order to get them, but they're not hiding it. They're just not talking about it. So they're not hiding it. So if you have the exact coordinates as a taxpayer in the United States, you can go to JPL and demand those negatives because it's paid by the taxpayer. He showed the images on the interview. I'm talking about things with buttons on it and... dude.
Yeah, the thing that looked like a giant cell phone.
This one I'm struggling with a lot. But look, the point is my role is to objectively report on all the stuff that's going on. This is news. So what he's saying is when he was tasked with remote viewing 1 million BC on Mars, there was a civilization there of humans just like us that were 10 to 12 feet tall that died out because they had a deteriorating atmosphere. Mm-hmm. He also has an image of some sort of underground facility or a catacomb or something with wires and complex sort of structures that had a red light flashing on it. And then when he went back to that image, I guess a few years later, the red light had stopped flashing, which implies that there could still be someone there. Like, dude, what the... I'm really struggling with this. I don't even know if I'm going to post this. Woo! No. He showed the images in the interview. If you look at these images, it's clear as day. You can clearly see that this is... I urge any astronomer to look at those images and try and debunk them. Please, I urge you. He said he's got the negatives, he's got the proof. When he went to JPL to ask for these things, they all know about it. They all like, oh, you want the negatives for the cities on Mars? Yeah, sure, here they are. What? Hey?
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my God, man. Like, come on. Really? Really? This is just going to get shoved under the rug? Like, this is insane. He's got them in his book.
Of course.
He showed them in the... I can't believe what I'm looking at here. I'm looking at the images right now.
Mm-hmm. I have a screenshot on my phone.
This is wild.
That and the giants and...
Anyway, guys. Yeah, sorry. That was a complete fail. Check it out. Just check it out.
It is crazy.
Check it out.
Attention all my beautiful brothers and sisters in RH negativator blood. I need your help, and it has everything to do with the 3 eclipses of 2017, 2023, 2024 that, well, created this, the Aleph and the Tav. Auntie, you got something on your screen up here. Oh, no, I don't know. No, that is there because guess what? So was I. I was in the total path of totality for the 2023 Ring of Fire, and I gotta know, guys, as our RH negative family coming together, were you in the path of totality in any of these 3 eclipses? Let's talk about these eclipses in 2017, 2023, and 2024 that collectively
right
together created a cross point that made the Aleph and the Tav, the Alpha and the Omega. These 3 eclipses shocked, wowed, and inspired the entire world to see exactly what these were. The signs that Yeshua told us about in the Bible, that they would use the sun and the moon and the stars for the signs in the end of days. And the cities that these 3 eclipses went over, my friends, whew, it was hard. No, it was impossible not to notice the biblical references and the distinct and obvious. We heard you loud and clear, Father. This one was good. Well played. The biblical message, if not warning, that these 3 eclipses together collectively made. Negativators, mount up. I just like that a lot. I do. As an RH negativator, I approve. And I trademark and copyright that, my friends. Ooh, we gotta get shirts made and hats. Guys, the other day, y'all put it on my noggin and my heart and my soul, and then it onto my lips so I could share it with you, as such is our natural progression with revelations, that there was something about me physically that I've had since, well, he placed me in my mother's womb, that he...
I'm not even going to tell you guys how I got
I came across this study where they cut a leaf and measured the energetic field around it, showing that it's still intact in some dimension. So what does this mean? Does this mean that everything is energy, frequency, and vibration? And even when a tree is cut down, does it still exist there in some dimension, in some realm? Is there still an energetic field around where it once was? And what does this mean for us as human beings? You know, our magnificent creator has created something beyond our comprehension. And now that we're looking into the quantum realm and looking into quantum physics, you know, quantum particle theory and, you know, wave particle duality and different types of phenomenon that have to do with our observation and how matter itself interacts with that, showing that we're in not only an intelligently designed universe, but an intelligently designed universe that is itself intelligent and can interact with our consciousness, to where we no longer live in a world that popularizes the concept of seeing is believing. It's now believing is seeing. In a world where reality is subjective, faith governs it all.
A worldwide police notice has been issued for a missing college student who traveled from the US to the Dominican Republic for spring break. And despite a massive search being underway, she is still nowhere to be found 6 days later. Sudiksha Kunaki, who is only 20 years old and studying medicine at Pittsburgh University, went to the beach with a group of friends after clubbing at about 5 a.m. After about an hour, most of the group called it a night and headed back to the hotel. But Sudiksha stayed with the guy that they met while they were out, named Joshua Ribe from Iowa, USA. In fact, this was the last known security footage of Sudiksha headed to the beach. It looks like she was quite drunk and unstable and in the arms of the guy who is believed to be Joshua. The two of them reportedly went swimming in the ocean together and the waves were pretty rough. Now, Joshua gave authorities 3 different accounts of what happened next. The first being that he was hit by a big wave and started to feel sick. He asked her if she was okay before going back to the shore and passing out on the sand. When he woke up, she had vanished, and she's never been seen since. The second account was that before he fell asleep, he saw her in knee-deep water. And the third account being that he saw her walking along the shore before he passed out. Now, sources say that translation issues could have been the reason for those differences. Authorities have speculated that Sudiksha may have drowned, but because they still have not found her body on land or at sea, they released this worldwide missing persons police notice. Yesterday, her father called on authorities to expand search efforts because he is growing concerned that she was kidnapped or trafficked since her body never washed ashore. Now, police say that there were no signs of violence and that Joshua is not considered to be a suspect at this time. But of course, as we know more, I'll keep you guys updated.
We've got an interesting piece of footage resurfacing online coming from around 2015 of an amateur astronomer looking up at the moon, and they see some sort of light emanating from its surface, okay? And upon first glance, I was thinking, like, is this a bit of old space debris that could be left on the surface reflecting light? Could it be an old lunar module or something of that nature? But I'm not sure. But as the footage progresses on, the light actively dims out as well. And it's very interesting. And these sort of lights have been reported quite a lot over the years from the surface of the moon. I mean, the theory is never ending. You know, people saying that, is there an advanced species there? Is there a secret space sort of base there, or something more going on? Or is it something a bit mundane? But it doesn't move any sort of location. It stays in the same sort of vicinity as it is, and as it kind of progresses, it starts to dim out. It's just hella weird, alright? And there's a lot of weirdness coming out from the moon, where people see things shooting off of it, going onto it, appearing from craters and things of that nature. There's been a lot of suspect photos and things of that nature coming from NASA itself, and obviously missions too, that people kind of scratch their head a little bit. And then, here we go, look, it's coming up towards it, and it's starting to switch off now. Look at this. And it just slowly dims out. Doesn't move location. Alright? And again, this isn't the first time we've been seeing this. This has been reported on for God knows how long, right? Hella interesting. So, yeah. Wow. Look at it. I don't know. Intriguing, to say the least. You guys let me know what you think.
Interesting and intriguing.
I've reported on this a little, well, quite a few times before, but always one for the books.
It's a cold Thursday morning in Niagara, and Pal was outside on the porch when this guy walked by with his dog. I had started my car to warm it up because I needed to go to the store and get some milk for my tea. So Pal's on the porch, and he knows the rules. He's not allowed to go down and bother that dog till they walk away. And you're going to see that's exactly what happens. They walk away, and you'll see in a sec here, Pal's going to come down and
the post.
Go over to that pole and check it out.
Remark it.
Right? Yeah, there he goes. So Pal goes over and check the pole out, and at this point, I'm getting ready to walk out the door, and I open the door, and you can see him look at me there, and tell him I got to go to the store. So you'll see in a sec here, he'll come flying back. And?
Nope, that's my pole.
This is what happens, you guys. You saw that doggy, eh? Hey, listen, you want to stay outside? I got to go to the store. You go up on the porch. Up. No, Pal, up on the porch. You stay. I got to go to the store. I'll be right back. Don't bug nobody, okay? I'll be right back. Make sure you stay home, be a good boy. I'll be right back. So I start to pull away, and that good boy of mine just sits and watches my car.
Where you going, Dad?
Now, let me just say this, guys, as a PSA. I don't recommend anybody doing this. I truly don't. I just think Pal and I, just like Buddy and I, we have a special relationship, and the trust we have in each other is incredible. You'll notice he's going to sit down in a second here. And once he sits down, you guys, I actually speed up the video so you don't have to just sit there and watch him. And you'll see in a sec, he sits down. There we go. And now the video is about to speed up so you guys don't have to watch all this. There we go. And you'll notice now he'll move and go to his right and lay beside the door. So now he's laying beside the door waiting for me. And all of a sudden, I'm coming back. I don't think I was gone more than 5 or 6 minutes. I didn't check the actual time. But he knows I'm back. My boy knows I'm back.
Hey, friends. Do you mind if I go on a disclosure rant real quick? Okay, thank you. Now, I'm going to tell you the real reasons why we'll never get government-led disclosure. And it's infuriating. But first, let me give you a little stat that you probably don't know. More people around the world believe in aliens than believe in Jesus. 55% of people exist form of advanced life outside of Earth and humans. Only 35% of people surveyed said that they believe in Jesus. Fewer than that believe Jesus is the Son of God, and more than 55% believe that aliens are a concept that is possible. Okay, so the majority of people in the world believe in aliens. The vast majority believe that aliens are a possibility. But we are told by the government that the reason they're not disclosing what they know is because they're saving us. They're helping us. Thank you, government. What would we do without you? What are they saving us from? Ontological shock, of course. What is ontological shock? Well, that is a shock to the system when your belief system is basically overturned, meaning that if you don't believe in something and then someone tells you that this is the truth and the thing that you believe in is incorrect, then it messes you all up in the head. It's called ontological shock. But the stats tell us that the vast majority of people in the world already believe in aliens. We've been primed for this our entire life. So what gives? They're convinced, or at least they're telling us that they're convinced that if they disclose what they know about non-human intelligence and UFOs to the public, that everything will collapse and everything will turn into chaos because of the ontological shock. I don't think so. And I mean, do you believe in aliens? Would you crumble? Do you think society would crumble if they told us that there was aliens? No. I think most people would be like, yeah, duh, dumbass. Now tell us about the med beds and the free energy and all the fun stuff, okay? All right. So then what gives? Why will they not disclose this stuff to us? Well, here's what I think. For 100 years, they've been keeping this secret, okay? Back, basically the Italy UFO, the Mussolini thing. Look it up, it's crazy. Way before Roswell, there was a UFO that was recovered in Italy. Okay, Mussolini wrote a whole note on it. It's really fascinating. So for 100 years, they've been covering this up. And not just covering it up, they have been doing atrocious, terrible, unspeakable things to cover it up. They still deny that abductions are taking place. They've ruined countless lives, and they have unalived a lot of people. They have done very terrible things, including money laundering and all these black projects and a lot of really unspeakable things that I can't even say here because this video will get taken down. That's what our government, using our taxpayer money and money that they steal through all these illegal operations, that's what they have been doing for 100 years. Now, they've also offloaded a lot of the stuff into private corporations and done it in an unfair way that gives certain corporations an unfair advantage against other corporations. All sorts of crazy things like that. So they can't disclose to us about aliens and UFOs because it would disclose these programs, and these programs are so terrible, so illegal, and so evil that they would have to disclose all of that. So they won't do that. So what do? They tell us, you guys are just too stupid. Y'all couldn't wrap your heads around this stuff, so we're saving you from you. Oh, thank you guys.
Gaslighting us, are you?
They're so nice. They really are. They mean well, okay?
Just looking out for us.
Drive me freaking crazy. Like I said, this is a disclosure rant. Okay, so what is the other reason? Well, they say, well, of course, they can't disclose this technology because then our adversaries will get their hands on it and create super weapons and destroy the entire planet. Well, again, thank you very much, government, for saving us from them. Wait a minute. Hold on, wait. Wasn't it our government that dropped 2 nuclear bombs on, innocent people? Wait, yeah, that was us. Okay, so we don't want the bad guys to get the weapons, but aren't we currently trying to reverse engineer this technology to make super weapons? I don't know. I mean, that's just what I heard from insiders. Maybe they're making all this up because it turns out we're the good guys, right? So, okay, what's the point of all this? Well, obviously, they have things, and they're not telling us what they have. Are they doing that for our own good, or are they doing it for their own good? That's the big question. Okay, so what if it's different than that? What if it's not, they're not telling us what they have because they're protecting us? What if they're not telling us what they have because they don't know what they have? I think that's the most logical thing. Think about it this way. If I went back in time and I threw my cell phone to a caveman, he would have this technology. He would have this advanced technology from the future. He would rule over all of his cavemen friends, right? No, he wouldn't be able to turn it on. He wouldn't know what the icons mean. He wouldn't be able to connect to a cellular network because those don't exist. He wouldn't be able to plug it in because there's no electricity. So even though he has this exotic technology from the future, he couldn't use it. And even if he could use it, he'd be the only one with it. And he wouldn't know what the hell it does or what it means, right? There's no context, okay? So that's what we are. We are cavemen with an iPhone. So I think we have technology. I think we have bits and pieces, but we haven't been able to wrap our minds around the entire consciousness aspect of it, the temporal aspect of it. We don't have the infrastructure of other technologies that correspond with the exotic technology that we have. We just have little bits and pieces. We have tiny pieces of a giant puzzle, okay? So I don't think it's that they don't want to disclose to us because our adversaries will get their hands on it. I think that we don't know. We just don't know. So, and they don't want to say that. They're protecting all this. So what do? They keep stringing us along, and now they're monetizing the crap out of it, and it's really weird. So there's been 3 big kind of mainstream media disclosure-esque projects over the last few years, and I've criticized all of them, and I get, run through the mud for doing it. The first was Lou Elizondo's book, Imminent, which I thought was a bunch of BS, man. I mean, this is the guy who is at the top of these programs. He knows everything about everything, and he's telling us stuff that you can find on the internet with a 5-minute Google search. I mean, come on, dude. It was laughable. And I was told at the time, Jordan, it's not for you. It's for the newbies. It's for the uninitiated. It's for the people that don't know anything about anything. This gets them up to par. Okay. I took my foot off the gas at that point because I was like, cool, maybe this is a necessary tool. And then this movie came out called The Program. Okay. I was like, yay, they blew it up, made a big deal out of it
that.
and everything, just like Lou went on all the CNN and all that kind of stuff. This stuff doesn't happen naturally, organically. This is promoted by within. So this is what they want us to see and hear and know. So then the program came out. I was like, okay, we're going to get somewhere with this, okay? Big splashy movie? Nope. Same stuff that we've always heard, same talking heads. Now a new movie came out, Age of Disclosure. Even bigger budget, even bigger names. 37 or something like high up Intel people, and they're all going to come out and tell us all their goodies and secrets. Same stuff. And when I criticize all these, I'm told the same thing. Jordan, it's not for you. This is for the newbies. This is just getting everybody caught up, right? Well, we've been getting everyone caught up for a long time. Colonel Corso wrote the book The Day After Roswell in 1996 and exposed way more than any of these people have. That was 27 years ago. So why are we still sitting here saying that people aren't ready? The data says that people are ready. The data says people already believe in aliens, right? More people believe in aliens than believe in Jesus. They're not hiding the Bible from us. So what gives? Okay? So I think it's infuriating because now they're monetizing it. Now they're basically gatekeeping, and now they're saying, hey, the big boy crew gets to, talk about this stuff and have this stuff, and then they'll just trickle down little crumbs to the average. Me and my friends are out here just trying to get the truth. We are working hard to figure out the truth of reality and what is going on. Now, if that truth is hidden from us from the system itself, meaning we're in some sort of a simulator for consciousness development, and the rules of the game say that we can't know these things, and it's hidden from us for our own good that way, cool. That's the rules of the game. I'm not going to argue with that. But if it's being kept from us, from greedy, corrupt people inside the government because they just want to, hoard all this information for their own good, that's not cool. And at that point, the collective has more power than any one person or any small groups. And the collective needs to take the power back, because I think we're past the point of slow drip. I think we're past the point of ontological shock. I think we're past the point where the average person just doesn't know any of this stuff and is uninitiated. Now, the average person might not know all the nitty-gritty details and intricacies, but they are already open to the idea that aliens exist. How could they not be? So at this point, they're not saving us from us. They're saving them from us, okay? And people need to realize that. There's a lot of us. There's not a lot of them. I don't think we should be sitting here eating their crumbs off the floor anymore. I think we're way past that. We deserve the truth. And I'm out here looking for it, and I'm tired of people hiding it from us. I don't think we should play that game. Let me know what you guys think. Have a beautiful day. Peace. Hey, friends.
But halfway through, the wording changes, and it's no longer talking to this king. It's clearly talking to a divine being. And in there it says, you were in the Garden of Eden. You were made perfect in all of your ways. And it says, every precious stone was your covering. Tardis, topaz, beryl, onyx, jasper, and it names all these stones. And in the Masoretic text it lists 9, but when you go to the Septuagint they list 12. And it says that these garments were beautiful and had gold inlays and all these shiny pretty things all over it. And it says that you profaned your sanctuaries, and you were cast from the mountain of God as a profane thing. And, and the scholarship is unanimous that this is talking about Satan. And when I read that, I was like, this sounds like the priestly ephod, because they wore this ephod with this breastplate that had 12 stones. And those stones are multicolored, and it's got all these little gold inlays and pins and tassels. It's really ornate. And then it goes on to say that he profaned his sanctuaries. I was like, it's painting Satan in a priestly role. But halfway through...
Was a Tic Tac UFO seen on Mars in one of NASA's own photos? Yeah, this is an image from Mars taken by NASA in early March. And that sure looks like some kind of Tic Tac UFO to me. In fact, people are talking about this thing all over social media. But I got the original NASA photo and then zoomed in to show you the Tic Tac. Let's just get right to it. Here we go, baby cakes, but we gotta zoom in. Can you see it? Right there, floating? Doesn't that look like one of those Tic Tac UFOs? This is NASA's own image, baby. Now let's compare that to other images of the Tic Tac UFO that have been seen on Earth. Here's one, and yeah, it looks like a Tic Tac, kind of a big Tic Tac. Oh, but there's not just one of these. Here's another one. And remember, the U.S. military and their pilots have seen these things with their own eyes. But my question for you is, what do you think of this image taken by NASA on Mars?
Trust them.
It looks like something floating, something that looks like a tic-tac UFO. Let me know your opinion, Booshkies, in the comment section. Shabadoo!
You can just call your local pet shop and say that you're an aspiring taxidermist and your instructor told you to give them a call to see if they have any dead loss overnights that you could start coming in the morning and picking up to take off their hands to practice on. And anyone can do this. They're not going to be like, well, make sure you bring your taxidermist certification. There's nothing. You can just say you're doing it and call them and they'll give it to you. You'll come home with a nice bag full of hamsters, gerbils, mice, parakeets, whatever, and you can do whatever you want with them. You can bury them. You don't have to do taxidermy. But if you want to do taxidermy, you just cut it under the chin with a scalpel and then skin it, and you're left with the skin and the inside form. Now, make sure you got all the fat off the skin and then just kind of rub some borax into it and then lay it out with more borax on top to dry for a little bit, a couple days. In the meantime, you're going to have this carcass, so you're going to want to take some clay that can cure in your oven and make it the same form as the carcass, but instead of having eyes, put little dents where you want the eyes to be. Once you have the dried pelt and the cured mold, you're going to put the pelt over it and make sure you get everything in the right spots and all that, and sew it with some fine thread and then glue it like around the mouth and other openings that you want to stay shut. And then you can just get some glass eyes or marbles or BBs or whatever you want and just glue them in the sockets that you had and kind of put the skin out over it so it looks like it's in there. And boom, you're a taxidermist, and you don't ever have to go Christmas shopping again because you can just give all your friends dead parakeets. You can just call your local pet shop and say that you're an aspiring
There is a cemetery right underneath my feet, which is on the back side of my property. Let me show you really quick. Now, back here in the back of my property, underneath a cypress tree, which is commonly referred to as a cemetery tree because it wards off evil spirits, are a collection of oddly placed linear rocks. We're gonna sit here right now for a couple of minutes, see if I get anything on my spirit box. So let's see if they show up right now. Hey y'all, if you are here and you're around, just come over and talk. I just got the most weird chills all over my body. Making sure there's no spiders. Hi, is anybody here? Were you buried here?
At home.
At home. Are you from the fort that was right there? Is your name Robert? I keep getting the name Robert. Robert, are you here?
No.
It says you. Do you know why you passed? Oh my god, I just got an image of somebody either getting stuck in the eye.
Saw ghost.
Ghost. Oh my god, saw a ghost. Ghost. Oh, it's backwards. Robert, you're not a ghost. Kind of. I guess you are. Robert just made me see how he passed. I think an arrow. Robert, do you haunt these woods? I keep saying I died. NATO. Interesting about NATO is that the gentleman that used to live on my property, his name was Cecil, he passed during World War II in France before that was formed. So I think we have a combination of my old property owners, gentlemen that probably crossed over during a Native American battle. It was him and his family. Are you okay now?
My dice.
Hey, dice.
Do you have a boy? Do you have a son?
Otto.
Otto. Was your son's name Otto? So Otto and Robert. Are you here still? I don't feel you. The thickness is gone. There was a thickness there for a little bit. I kid you not, y'all. I swear I just saw a shadow. Maybe a guy? I don't know. Robert, I love you and your family and your little boy and Cecil and everybody else who's out here. I love you. There is a...
Well, I got an inner story.
Let's go.
The Green Children of Woolpit.
This story's crazy. This happened in England in the 12th century. There's this small town. There's these villagers out doing their farm and stuff. And all of a sudden, these two small children walk up to them with green skin, clothes that they have never recognized before, and speaking in a language they've never heard before. Clearly looked malnourished. Like they're very skinny. So there was an older sister and a younger brother. Unfortunately, the younger brother, he ended up dying. And the little girl, they were able to eventually get her to start learning English. Then she was able to recount where she came from.
Oh my gosh.
She said was this place where it was green everywhere. The plants and the sky, even the people themselves. It was as if the world existed under a green tinted veil, casting a surreal glow over everything. They said the sky was never fully dark nor brightly lit. Instead, their world was bathed in an eternal twilight. The children recalled a day when they were tending their family's livestock near the edge of their world. They heard a loud mechanical noise unlike anything they had experienced before. Drawn by curiosity, they followed the sound to a cave where a strange light pulsed from within. The light seemed to bend reality, causing the air to shimmer and distort. As they moved closer, the light became blinding. Suddenly, they felt the sensation of falling, followed by cool air and bright sunlight, the stark contrast to the world of shadows.
How crazy.
And that's like pretty much the end of the story.
I want to go to the center of the earth so bad, man.
Well, I gotta enter.
Yeah, that story came out a long time ago. Long time ago. Back in the Middle Ages. No, I don't even know what ages it was. But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It was a pleasure having you, hanging out, going through all these epic TikToks. Pretty good TikToks tonight, I must say. And I'm wearing my green tonight, so we don't have a show on Monday, so I figured I'd get it out of the way. Thank you to all of our friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook, KPNL Radio, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Twitch, Twitter, Breaker, wherever you may be listening Beyond the Omniverse tonight. Had a wonderful time, and I can't wait to do it again tomorrow night when we have story time with me, TessaTNT. Generally, we'd be reading Nazis and the occult, different things dealing with that. And as I've said before, we're not trying to spread the word and be like, these guys are great. It's for educational and entertainment purposes only. It's for learning, basically. So education. We don't